General, you said feminism is neutral.
Here's what actually happened.
The foundation of all
money. I'm really mad that
what difference does it make, right? What
Stop.
The deregulation of the industry is obviously going to cause more of that industry.
And to lubricate the trust connection between people until they have enough.
Yet we could still look at biological reality in determining who's a female, even if there are.
Why don't you denounce feminism the same way you're denouncing capitalism? If you don't...
For something to be objective, it needs to be verifiable. And you can't verify...
If I make a claim as a political pundit, it is true that I definitely could be wrong. You're promoting, right?
Ideology is the main thing of politics, right? This is my ideology.
So 2015, anyone go back and watch the footage? The first GOP debate.
Cool, Robert. Oh, dead? With a crowbar, you said.
And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. I am Sara, the Raging Tomato, bringing to you another live debate. If you only knew what kind of backroom talks we have before we get these shows started, you'd be surprised. I'm absolutely unhinged at the shit that these two gentlemen just confessed. But anyways, to the topic, is the big, beautiful bill doing more harm than good? Alex has the affirmative stance, and Misfit Patriot is here to defend in the other direction. Alex, would you like to begin with your opening statement, please?
Sure. So first, big thanks to Sara for hosting and Misfit Patriot for joining. Let's get right into this. The big, beautiful bill is one of the worst pieces of legislation in American history, and I am not exaggerating. In short, it is designed to be a massive tax cut for the rich while fucking over the poor and middle class and also blowing up the deficit. Remember when people on the right used to care about deficit? Anyone who says they support this bill doesn't give a crap about deficit. So what do you get for adding extra $3.4 trillion to the deficit? That's right, $3.4 trillion will be added to the deficit according to the Congressional Budget Office. So here's what we get for this. So the top 1% received $975 billion in tax breaks. In addition, the wealthiest 1% receive an additional $211 billion in estate tax breaks. Large corporations get $918 billion tax breaks, and also the Pentagon is getting $150 billion, which is mostly welfare for defense contractors, since the Pentagon fails every single budget audit it has ever taken. Now, let's get into some of the downsides. The Congressional Budget Office estimated the bill would result in 11.8 million Americans losing health coverage under Medicaid. It also slashes subsidies for the Affordable Care Act, which hits the middle class. So a lot of people will lose their health insurance. Rural hospitals will receive $119 billion less in Medicaid funding, which will cause a lot of them to shut down. It is estimated that 300 rural hospitals will shut down immediately, and then a total of 700 later on as time goes on. A study at Yale estimates that with these cuts in healthcare, an extra 50,000 Americans will die every single year. 50,000 Americans will die every single year. In addition, this will also increase crime. Studies show that when people lose healthcare coverage, crime increases. When people are desperate, when people feel like there's no hope, when people are, just have no way of getting, being able to pay for medication, a lot of them resort to crime. So we're going to have also more crime. Lovely. Then we have massive cuts to solar energy, which will mean China will outcompete us in this very, very important technology. People who work in these sectors will lose their jobs, and of course, energy bills will become more expensive for families. According to a study, a family's energy bill will go up by $400 per year. Next, we got 18 million children will lose their school-provided meals, which have been shown, according to a bunch of studies, to improve education outcomes. The idea that when kids eat, when they're not starving, they can focus more and they get better grades and they act up less, and just all kinds of good things happen when kids are not hungry. This bill would also allow for millions of acres of public lands to be sold to billionaire polluting industries, damaging our communities, environment, and public health, and containing our air and water. Even if you think climate change is not real and it's a hoax, you have to admit that the air we breathe and the water we drink is very important. Then we get the SNAP cuts. This will cost an estimated 4 million children to lose food assistance and 1 million jobs to be lost. Because what happens is when you cut SNAP, a lot of people can't afford to go to the grocery store. So there's the grocery store basically, starts laying people off. And then, of course, that affects things further down the line, affects farmers, affects everyone. When people are buying less food, a lot of people lose their jobs. And let's not forget the fact that a lot of children will be really, really hungry. Remember when the right used to say they care about children? Yeah, good times. Now, there are some semi-good things in this bill, like no tax on tips. However, they're not as good as they sound. First, a sizable portion of tip workers don't pay anything in taxes anyway. Second, tip workers make about 2.5% of the workforce. So this affects a very small percentage of people. And this tax break is going to expire in 2028, unlike the tax break for the 1%, which don't expire. So very interesting thing here. The other semi-good thing is no tax on overtime. Well, this also expires in 2028. This is only limited to federal income tax. There's a whole bunch of other taxes that you still have to pay, when it comes to your overtime, and it's only up to $12,500. So that means if you get, let's say, $30,000, $40,000 overtime benefits because you work a lot of overtime, well, you're not going to get, tax cut on all of that. You're going to get up to $12,500, and I believe $25,000 if you're married. And yet this provision is still overall positive, but it doesn't come even close to outweighing all the bad parts of the big, beautiful bill. At the end of the day, the no tax on tips and overtime is used to sell this bill to the American people so they can forget about all the other ways they are getting fucked over. If Trump and Republicans actually cared about tipped and overtime workers, they wouldn't put a sunset clause on both of those things. Again, just important to know that they didn't put a sunset clause on tax cuts for the rich. They just did it for the things that help the average person. This bill is simply a massive handout to the rich, corporations, and Pentagon at the expense of the poor and middle class, who is already massively struggling. And the sad part is there are a lot of people like our dear friend here who are too brainwashed to realize this.
Thank you, Alex. And Misfit, over to you, please.
I don't know who here has seen the movie My Cousin Vinny, but I'm just going to pull a line from that. Everything that guy just said is bullshit. Thank you. Look, so let's start off with the 3.4 trillion to deficit. All right. Estimates with this sky is falling. Oh my God, you're going to add money to our debt is usually inflated, but it doesn't even have to be inflated because we usually still add. And I'm one of those people that actually doesn't like that. So I'm not a big fan of the alleged estimated increase. However, if you look at the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, has estimated that the tax cuts will actually reduce federal revenue by 2.5 to 3 trillion. So it does offset that. And then you get the 0.4, which could be, room for error. No tax on tips and the other, things, they're expiring in 2028. Yeah, well, that's why we have another 3.5 years to figure out how to extend this, just as this one big beautiful bill is extending the 2017 tax cuts. So just because it says they're expiring doesn't mean they're actually going to expire. Then the constant theme that I hear is estimated, right? This is going to do this. This is going to do that. This is going to. And it never really does when it comes to Trump, because everything that everybody has ever said about his economic policy is the sky is falling and it's going to be the end of the world. And usually with his economic policies, we end up coming out on top. For instance, the tariffs, right? Tariffs, they were saying we're going to we're going to just like tank the economy and it's going to be a tax on everybody. And so far from what we've seen, it hasn't added any debt, and it hasn't increased inflation. It's actually been showing signs of improvement. Now, the final point that I'm going to make to your opening statement was the 50,000 Americans will die. They will die. They're going to literally die because of a bill that was pushed through to Congress, where if apparently the cost of things get more heavy in America, Americans are just going to die. They're going to either kill themselves or there's no way to measure this. And I'm sick and tired of talking points and these bullshit. BS. Wait, we can swear here.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, fucking
I don't
bullshit.
know why you're trying to hold it.
I was on a podcast last night. They told me not to, or two nights ago. Anyway, yeah, very difficult. When people start using these types of tactics for, getting their message across, I tune out, because I'm like, I don't think any rational thinker is going to be like, oh my God, the one big beautiful bill is going to cause 50,000 people to just die. Right. It doesn't track with me. And I don't think it tracks with your average everyday person. So I'm looking forward to more talking points from Alex, but I think that what his whole entire opening statement was just one big regurgitated talking point summarized in a long paragraphical form that he wrote before this debate started. I didn't write any opening statement. I'm just responding to the bullshit that he just spewed out. So again, like my cousin Vinny said, everything that guy just said is bullshit.
Thank you, Misfit Patriot.
Thank you.
And to the audience, per usual, we're going to get through our debate. Then we will move into closing statements. And of course, we will read and respond to your kind super chats. Thank you in advance. After that, per usual, we will go into open panel dumpster fire. I may, if the conversation moves the way I hope it will, we may actually open up the panel a little bit sooner. We'll just see kind of how they are rolling. Gentlemen, I leave the floor open to you.
So just to clear up a quick straw man, it's not things getting more expensive that will kill people. It's not having health insurance. Let's do a little thought experiment here. Do you think that having health insurance can save a person's life if they can get treatment for a chronic health condition they have?
Potentially, but I think that what you're saying is that you're framing it, and speaking of straw men, you're framing it like we're going to be taking away health insurance for people who need it. No, we're not. I mean, the health insurance that's going to be taken away is from people that are able-bodied. They only have to work 80 hours a month, I think it is. And in order to qualify, you just have to be a person who will work less than minimum requirements, and show that you're a citizen. So who is the health insurance being taken away from specifically that you're referring to?
Kids, poor people who have Medicare. Wait, let me just finish respond to you. Okay. So kids, poor people, those are the people who rely on Medicare. And also we got some middle class people with the Affordable Care Act. So it's not just Medicaid. I personally benefit from the Affordable Care Act. It gives a lot of people health insurance, right? So those are the people who are going to lose their health care simply because they can't pay the additional costs. And that is, in of itself, you could make an argument that, these fuckers are lazy or whatever. At the end of the day, they're fellow Americans. And if they lose, this is not just some number I pulled up. This is according to a Yale study. And if you want, I can pull up the study and we can go through the study in detail. But the study estimates, and yes, it is an estimate when it comes to the future, but a lot of it is based on prior things. Like, for example, in the past, when people lost health insurance, this is kind of how it affected their lives. Whether it's 50,000 people, 40,000 people, one person or anything more than that, losing basically their lives due to a lack of health insurance is ridiculous in a country as rich as America. So that is what's going to happen. And that's really unfortunate. Like, I think intuitively you agree with me that when people lose health insurance, a lot of times that can, most of the time it just they just live a shittier, shorter life, but sometimes it can absolutely kill them, right? Because you need health insurance in order to get healthcare. You cannot get healthcare paying out of pocket because it's very, very expensive in America, and that's a whole different debate. So like, what's the flaw in my logic right here?
Okay, did you say that you're on the Affordable Care Act right now?
Yeah.
Current?
Yeah.
Okay, what do you look? I'm really not trying to get personal. I'm just going to use, like I'm saying, you don't seem to me like somebody who's poor. Like, are you?
Well,
poor?
Affordable Care Act is not for poor people; it's for middle class people.
Yeah, but I mean, what is the requirement?
The requirement just depends on. I mean, it varies based off how much of a subsidy you get. I mean, first of all,
you meet the requirements for the Affordable Care Act, where let's say I think it's
a sliding scale. I don't get the maximum subsidy, but I get some subsidies on my health insurance, and also I get to take advantage of the marketplace, which makes it easier for me to pick out my health insurance.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Like, I mean, look, I think that there is a lot of people that are taking advantage of the system, and I think that. I'm not saying that you're one of them. I'm saying that when you have enough people that are taking advantage of a system, and by the way, I want to be very clear. I think we can agree on this point. The system itself is garbage. I think that the American healthcare system is garbage.
It is, but this makes it worse.
It's been like that for a while. Okay. So when I see somebody like you, and again, try not to be personal. This is related. When I see I'm looking at your Instagram and I see you look like you're out partying. You look like you're out having a good time. And you say, I'm taking advantage of the Affordable Care Act. Meanwhile, me, a small business owner, I can't qualify. Because
all the Instagram stuff is it's not, I don't drive a Lambo. My friend had one. We took a photo of it. All of it. I'm a content creator. All of it is just fucking around. I don't actually party. I haven't drank alcohol in like 5 years. Like I don't party.
I'm just saying, I'm just looking, and I'm not accusing you of anything. But you seem like you're doing okay. You don't seem like you're Section 8, like, you know.
But again, you don't need to be Section 8. The Affordable Care Act more benefits the middle class. It's the Medicaid that's designed for the poor.
Well,
but anyway,
your argument was your argument was that the people that are going to lose their insurance are kids and poor people. That's why I'm bringing this up. Your words were poor people. Those are your words.
Well, then I also added about the Affordable Care Act, which is not really designed for poor people because poor people get Medicaid. It's more of middle class people that get the Affordable Care Act, right?
Okay, so what I'm asking you is who is going to lose their health insurance based off of this bill, and what
a shitload of kids and poor people.
How? You're just saying that.
Well, no, I'm not just saying that. I mean, do you want me to go through a study with you and kind of break it down?
No, I want you to go through what's in the bill, because what's in the bill is all you have to do. You have to have requirements. And if you meet the requirements, kids don't work. So I don't understand how you're saying that kids are going to lose their health.
Well, because you do know poor kids get their, healthcare from Medicaid, right?
Okay. Yeah. What do you mean? What do you define as a kid? Under 18?
Yeah. Under 18.
Okay. So
12-year-old, 10-year-old, 13-year-old.
They get their insurance through their parents, I believe, a lot, right? Like children.
Like Medicaid directly affects kids. Yes,
I understand that, and I don't think that any kid is going to be affected by any language in the bill. If you want to bring me to that, the language that's in that bill, but I think you're saying is, I think you're saying that what you define as poor people. Like, and this is why I wanted to bring it up, was like, I don't know what your definition of poor people is, because if you're talking about, content creators that are doing just okay.
You keep conflating these two things. I never referred to myself as poor, right?
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about.
I'm not talking about content creators either. I would be, if I lose my health coverage, I will be okay. Like, I'll survive.
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
But there's a lot of people who are not as fortunate as me. Okay, I just casually threw that in. You seem really, really laser focused on that point.
I'm saying, who are the people? Who are the people?
Like, what do you want me to give you their names? Like,
no. Give me a demographic of people that are going to lose their health insurance with this bill.
Okay, it's a lot. It's
using the actual language in the bill.
Well, it doesn't. The actual language in the bill doesn't matter. What matters is the effect the bill has.
It actually matters a lot.
You can dress everything up. What matters
Is there like something within the bill that's definitionally like canceling of certain things or
Well,
maybe
they're never going to award it as like,
standards?
okay, do you think the bill will ever, do you think whoever's writing the bill is going to award it as like, and we're going to kick 10,000 kids off, off healthcare? No, the way they're going to do it is they're going to say, well, we're going to give this type of cuts to Medicaid, this type of cuts to the Affordable Care Act, and this types of cuts to rural hospitals and SNAP and things like that, right? And then you look to the experts, the people, and I'm not talking about like lefties. I'm talking about just bipartisan people who report on this and study this, economists, to see how that's going to affect the poor, how that's going to affect the middle class, and how that's going to affect children, right?
So you're saying it's
just real quick, intuitively, right? You agree that if, let's say, 10,000 people lose their health insurance, some of those people are going to die, right?
What? No, I'm not saying that at all.
So you don't think health insurance is necessary to have to be healthy?
Look, I haven't had health insurance since I was I don't know, 15. I literally just pay the $40 a month to my primary care.
Do you have a chronic health condition?
No.
Okay, yeah, I'm talking about people who have chronic health conditions like
but
diabetes that require medicine that's expensive that they can't afford.
Yeah, GoodRx and primary care has pay as you go, and they have their own version.
Okay, so you think 10,000 people lose their health insurance, none of those people are going to substantially suffer.
I'm not saying that. Look, if you put out any bill, right, especially one this big, we can all agree that I don't think that this is going to be like great because there's so much in it. I think you're going to be able to, the bigger a bill is, the more you're going to be able to pick apart.
Just to clarify, so you're saying your position is you don't actually think the bill is that great, right?
No, I don't think that you should have any bill that has this much in it, right? Because I think what you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to find things that you can pick apart. But let's get back to what we're actually talking about, right? The actual One Big Beautiful Bill Act, you
gotta say it in the Trump voice, boy.
No, I can't.
The Big Beautiful Bill.
The Big Beautiful Bill. All right, so the OBBA, it has a work requirement for able-bodied adults 19 to 64 of 80 hours per month. That's 20 hours per week, right? Anyone who doesn't do that will lose their health insurance. I don't see anything in there where it's I don't think that there's anything where you're going to have
you don't see the part about Medicaid cuts?
No, I'm talking about children under 18 losing their health insurance. I don't see that at all.
Yeah, sure. I mean, like I said, we can pull up a study.
If you no, I don't want to see a study. I want you to show me the language in the bill that says under 18 you lose your health insurance. Because other than that, what you're just saying is you just think it's
not everyone. Now, I'm not saying I think of it, right? I don't know how many people are going to be affected by this. I look to the experts, the
children,
people, the economists.
Coverage. All right, age restriction coverage for able-bodied adults 1964 is contingent on meeting work requirements. Children and elderly 65 plus are exempt from this work requirement. So who are you talking about?
Yes, except for the fact that a bunch of children will lose their health coverage.
How?
Okay,
let me explain. Let me explain to you. If the parents lose their insurance, then so will the children.
Yeah, let me explain to you. Let me just break it down for you. Okay, so what's the problem with work requirements? Well, a lot of the times that parent, right, he has 3-4 children and is a full-time caretaker, right? So they are not able to work because they need to take care of the kids all the time. Maybe they have a disabled child. Maybe they have a troubled child.
Yeah, maybe.
Whatever. Yeah, well, that does happen. If we run high enough volume, that's going to be the case. You're going to find people who take care of disabled children. Anyway, so the parent is not able to work in the first place because they're basically a caretaker for the children. That happens. This affects a lot of single-parent households, right? Because single-parent households tend to be poor. So you have a mom whose full-time job is taking care of her kids. Now there's no way she has the time to work, while taking care of her 3-4 children. That's an example of how it's going to affect that. Also, let's not forget about the rural hospitals that are going to be closing down. That affects children living in rural areas. Now, if they, for example, get hurt, they can't go to their local hospital. They have to drive 3-4 hours to a city.
Yeah, you mentioned that. And how many did you say?
So it's going to be 300 rural hospitals, and then after that, it's going to be 742.
Okay. I'm gonna use the internet while I'm talking to you. I don't usually do this, but I'm gonna ask how many hospitals are in America. And you're saying that there's 300 that are gonna close down. I'm gonna assume
rural hospitals. We're talking about rural hospitals, right? We're not talking about.
All right. How many rural?
Sure, I will happily pull up where I'm getting the source from. It's not like I'm just pulling this out of my ass. So.
No, I know, but I think that you're. Do you understand what catering to the minority means? Right, like the.
Explain to me.
All right, catering to the minority is in essence what has happened with like this gender affirming thing about the trans issue.
Yeah,
right?
I'm not in favor of any of that shit.
No. I know you're not, right? But what you don't understand, like trans people are like 1% of the population, but the left has catered to the minority, where they have made this huge societal change based off of a very small demographic. I think that's what you're doing here, where you're saying, okay, there's 300 to 700 rural hospitals are at risk of closure.
Some experts predict that cuts to Medicaid will impact nearly every state, with most expected to see 25% of their hospitals shut down. In 11 states, the risk is even higher, with 50% of more hospitals at risk.
Yeah. So 1,796. So around 1,800, right? And then you're saying 300. That would be.
I'm talking where there's a difference between overall hospitals and rural.
No, this is rural. There's way more than 1,700 hospitals in America.
Overall, 700 rural hospitals could close down due to Medicaid cuts, which translates to 1/3 of all rural hospitals in the country. Yeah, I think 1/3 of all rural hospitals closing down is a bad thing, especially when it can be prevented.
That's not a third. Yeah, that's not a third.
Do you want this on screen? Share screen.
Put that on screen.
Oh, sorry.
That's not a third. I mean, my okay. Overall, more than 700. You see, now the part that you have highlighted right there, on my screen, right? I have 300 to a maximum of 700, and then I have 1,796 rural hospitals in the United States. So you're basically taking the high end of the disaster and you're applying it.
I'll happily hang on. I'll make this easier. I'll happily just focus on the 300 that are immediately.
Well, it could be. Well,
300 is still 300 too many.
Let's split the difference. Right? Because if you have 700 and 300, right,
yeah,
the middle would be about 500.
Yes.
Right. So
can you agree that's still too many?
I mean, why are they being closed down, bro? Like, I mean, what is the
because
reason?
because they're not going to get as much funding through Medicaid. That's exactly
sure. Now, how many hospitals are in America? There's 6,093 hospitals in the United States.
Most of them are concentrated in big cities.
Yeah, 30.
When you go to a rural area, right, you have one hospital per like 100 square miles.
Sure. And then I'm getting like 5 different numbers here. There's 7,335. There's 6,093.
No, so how many rural hospitals are there? You're talking about overall hospitals,
bro. I told you it's around 1,800.
Okay, 1,800. So 500, right? If we do the math on that,
if we did 500, yeah, that would be around a little under a third.
Yeah, a pretty substantial amount. Can you agree on that? That's a substantial amount.
Yes. Yeah. No.
Okay. Can you agree with me on the fact that 1/3 of rural hospitals closing down is going to result in bad outcomes for a lot of people living in rural areas? Can you agree with me on that?
Well, you have to define a lot. Like these rural areas, right? Is it bumfuck Nebraska where 15 people come into the hospital over the course of a weekend and you're catering to the minority where you're saying those 15 people are going to be in trouble because now they have to drive an extra hour to a different hospital? Yes, does it suck? But also they live in the fucking middle of nowhere, right? Are these hospitals, which cost a fucking fortune to run, by the way, the machinery, the staffing, everything. Hospitals are very expensive.
Hospitals save lives.
Hospitals do save lives. Now, what they're doing is, are they doing a calculation of, yeah, hospitals save lives, but this hospital right here is showing that 15.
No, they're not. They're just cutting across the board to pay for tax cuts for the rich.
That's your assumption. And
I mean, that's the logical conclusion.
The tax cuts for the rich. I've always loved this tax cuts for the rich.
Wait, let's just focus on the healthcare thing first, and then I promise we'll get to that.
Go ahead.
Okay, so here's the disconnect. It seems that you don't think that 1/3 of rural hospitals closing down is going to have a substantial negative effect on people in those communities.
It could.
Well, I mean, doesn't it logically follow? Like, let's see, you live in a town, right? The closest hospital from you is, let's say, 10 miles, rural town. And now the closest hospital from you is 200 miles. Don't you think that can have a bad effect, especially if you have a chronic health condition? Like you have cancer, you have to go in there every day. That will cause people to maybe miss treatments or maybe make the expense of getting there really hard. Like, can't you just logically see how that would fuck over a lot of rural people?
Well, you're talking about hospitals. You're not talking about primary care physicians. You're not talking about urgent care facilities. You're talking about hospitals.
Hospitals, yeah, a lot of people need to go to hospital.
A hospital will close down, but can people see a healthcare professional in these towns? Yeah. Like,
well, a lot of things require to go to the hospital. Like, for example, let's say someone gets into a car crash, right?
Yeah.
Whether they make it to the hospital in 20 minutes or 2 hours could mean the difference between life and death.
Yeah, it could. And how rare is that? That's what I'm saying.
People get into car crashes all the time.
Catering to the minority is your logic. Your logic is these extreme events that are going to happen are going to be the
my logic is let's not fuck people out of healthcare when we don't need to.
Okay, let's go back to that. Who is being fucked out of healthcare?
People living in rural areas.
No, don't generalize. Give me something in the fucking bill, dude. Give me something in the bill. In the bill, please tell me who is being removed from their health care, because I told you
the bill is not going to tell you names of people that are being removed from the health care.
I'm talking about names.
The bill is going to be obviously worded in a way to make it sound good. Wait, Sarah, can you share my screen real quick?
Able-bodied people 19 to 64 who don't want to work 80 hours a month. Do
you dispute any of the facts in this article? Wait, just real quick. Do you dispute anything that is in this article?
Probably, but I haven't read it. You're giving me the article in real time.
Well, I could send it to you. You can take a quick look at it now. We can go through it together. But this is like, when you analyze public policy.
You're talking about an article, right? You're talking about an article. I'm talking about the bill. You're talking about an article. The
article is experts took the bill and analyzed the effect that it is going to have, and then they wrote the article. That's how it works.
Fucking
bill, they're obviously going to word the bill to sound as good as possible.
I forgot about
common sense. Okay, if I do, let's say I get caught in some kind of crazy fucking, I don't know, embarrassing situation where I'm fucking a bunch of hookers or whatever, right?
Speaking of fucking hookers,
I know.
52 Intel experts said that the Hunter Biden laptop was
totally irrelevant to this debate.
Experts!
Totally irrelevant to this debate. Yes, there are some experts that are wrong, okay? Doesn't mean all experts are wrong. There's also different types of experts.
I agree with that.
So let's say that I have some crazy fucking fiasco. I get caught doing something really bad. And then I write a PR letter. I write an apology letter, and I'm like, oh, I didn't do any of this, blah, 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 blah. You would be a fool to take what I say in my apology letter at face value. You would want to actually dig into and see, okay, are the things that I'm claiming, are they actually true? It's the same thing with this bill. You have to analyze, you have to analyze what effect this bill is going to have. And if you don't directly dispute anything in this article, right? Then, okay, do you want to take some time and read it?
No, we're not going to do that live. We're not going to do that.
Because then otherwise you have no leg to stand on.
No, I actually do, because I'm asking you to talk about the fucking bill, and you're telling me to read an article.
That's written by experts based on the bill.
Read an article and trust the experts. This is exactly what got us into this fucking problem.
What problem?
Where we are right now in America with a bunch of retards who think they know shit because they read an article.
Yes, there's a bunch of retards like Donald Trump and his administration who think they know shit. You're right.
Why did you lose the 2024 election? Is it because you guys were just so fucking on point every time? Or is it because you read articles and trusted experts?
I'll answer that question, but then let's go to
the bill.
This is stupid because we're not going to know. Okay,
you don't want the bill. You want to go.
Hang on, stop for a second. Let me explain to you why that is a very stupid approach. because the bill is going to use a lot of really vague language. It's going to say there's going to be $300 billion cut to Medicaid. And you and I are going to have no idea what that $300 billion tax cut to Medicare is actually going to mean for people. You have no idea because you're not a public health expert, and neither do I. So we have to take a look at analysis, at studies, at what experts are saying, right? And again, if you find conflicting information, I'd be happy to explore it. But it's just
Alex, are you able to summarize?
It's stupid. Hold on. Hold on, real quick before you jump in, Rajan. It's stupid to use the bill to talk about the bill.
It is. I will amend what I said.
Did he
solely rely on the language in the bill to determine the effects the bill is going to have? When you and I are not experts on public health policy, what do you and I know about? Okay, the bill says $300 billion or $700 billion tax cuts to Medicaid. Are you and I going to know what that means for the average person?
No.
Of course not. That's why it's silly.
Okay, so your logic is, right? So here's what the bill says, okay? This is what the bill says. We all know what the bill says. We're going to go to an article where somebody gave their opinion.
The bill is 800 pages long.
That's not a lot.
Yeah, you don't even want to read this article, which is like 2 pages.
No, I mean, like, you can show me an article, and by the way, when you take like you just said, 2 pages, right? And you try to summarize an 800-page bill and say, look how bad the bill is. We condensed it down to 2 pages.
Well, I'm not. Really makes sense. This article.
All I've asked you in this whole debate was to show me where in the bill the thing that you don't like is, and you haven't been able to do that. You have not been able to find one thing in the fucking bill that you don't like. What you said is, even though it's not in the bill.
Okay, in the bill, it says, okay, fine, I'll answer your question.
I can tell you what I don't like in the bill. I
okay.
Don't like it.
In the bill, it says there's going to be, I believe, a $700 billion. Let me fact check that for 1 second.
Take your time.
We're going to get, we're going to get, I believe it's something around 700 to 800 billion gutting of Medicaid. We're going to get 800 billion less in Medicaid, right? That's what I don't like. And now I'm trying to tell you the thing that I don't like, what effect it's going to have. Because at the end of the day, 800 billion tax cuts to Medicaid to the lay person doesn't really mean much. We have to see how that's going to affect the American people. That's what matters the most.
Yeah.
And then also, yeah, go ahead.
You understand what like triage is, right? Like when you're in a situation like where there's a big problem and you have to prioritize certain things. And that means that the person who has a broken thumb might have to wait a little bit longer to get their thumb fixed because there's a bunch of people coming in with severed limbs, right? I think that we're in that area right now in America where we have to put something on the table that caters to the majority, or at least caters.
Wait, how does tax cuts for the ultra rich cater to the majority?
Hold on. That caters to the most important issues, right? And while you can, when this big, beautiful bill, which I did not support a giant omnibus bill, I said that I didn't.
Okay.
But now that it's here, now that it's here, I have to at least look at it with I'm looking at this objectively.
Yeah, so am I.
I don't think you are, but in this bill, right? In this bill, I can tell you what I don't like about it. I can tell you exactly what I don't like about it. You're not telling me what you don't like about it.
I already explained to you the cuts to Medicaid.
Okay, the cuts to
That's
Medicaid.
what I don't like.
Okay,
like I keep saying this. Let me just get this point across one more time.
Go ahead.
Cuts to Medicaid is very abstract.
But who?
Wait, hang on. Just let me finish. Cuts to Medicaid are very abstract. It's like, okay, what does that really mean for the average person? That's the part that I'm really interested in. How is this going to affect the average person? How is it going to affect people living in rural areas? Well, we know that people living in rural areas get 1/3 of their hospitals will close down. Now, I'm just kind of having a hard time understanding. Maybe I'm not communicating clearly about this, but how do you not see that cuts, that 1/3 of rural hospitals being closed down is going to cause some people to suffer or die?
It will.
It will.
But that is the minority. You're talking about rural areas, right?
So, so those people deserve to suffer because they're minorities?
No, don't gaslight and make it a false binary. I'm not saying anybody deserves to
So
suffer.
then why do we need to do this? Why do we need to have this
Because we're
bill?
fucking drowning, dude. We're $36 trillion in debt. We
And
need to find areas.
This adds $3.5 trillion to the debt.
And
So
it cuts $3 trillion to the deficit. It literally.
I need to. Okay, that's the next thing. I want to see the study for that because I don't believe that for a second.
Well,
So
I
show
got
me.
it right here. It's it's the the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office estimated.
Wait, can you share your screen, please?
I don't know how to do that, but
It's easy.
How do I do that?
Down at the bottom of your screen, there's a little box with a plus sign on it.
Hold on.
Right, it should be right smack dab in the middle.
Plus. Okay, hold on.
And then the list of that says share screen.
Okay.
And then you just pick whichever one, and then whenever you're
got it. Okay. Here you go. So this is just from Grok, right? But this is just the CBO, the Congressional.
No. Show me the actual source, not Grok, not ChatGPT.
I mean, I can go find it. I'm reading off of what I'm reading off of.
Yeah, no, show me the actual source for this that Grok is
based on. Do you want me to go find it? All right. So are you now? Instead of doing that, let's assume that the Congressional Budget Office has estimated that the tax cuts will reduce revenue by 2.5 to 3 trillion.
Hold up. Reduce federal revenue? That's just going to blow up the deficit. How does reducing the federal revenue?
Let's go. All right.
Wait, isn't that the opposite? If we reduce federal revenue, then that means that we're going to have an even more. Yeah.
I think that's a typo. But all right.
Okay, because so far it's not looking good. But
here, let's go. All right, you can stop sharing. I'll go look it up, and we'll fucking bring it on screen. But
let's do it because I don't think that's true.
Well, look, here's the deal, man. If you look at any type of bill, you're gonna have some people that are saying this is going to add to the deficit.
Just show me one source, like one legit source that's saying this. It's okay. Take your time.
No, I'll just do it right now. Congressional budget.
This was recommended from Finkel. Point your AI to the text at this website.
No, not Congress.gov. That's clearly a biased source. I don't want to hear from Congress.
I don't know what it is.
I want to hear from any third-party source. I don't want to hear from WhiteHouse.gov.
Okay, reports say Trump's tax law, tax policy center. Let's go.
If we just think about it logically, right? If we do a tax cut for people, that means that's less money the government is bringing in, so therefore the deficit goes up, right?
Sure.
This is just basic common sense 101.
Yeah. Look, I don't want to go down a rabbit hole live.
It's not a rabbit hole. It's very important.
Well, I don't want to go down a rabbit hole live and try to find something in real time
because it doesn't exist. Because it intuitively makes
no
sense.
You can say it doesn't exist.
On Grok, even Grok, the thing that you were showing me said that basically that it's the opposite.
You're just reading it wrong. It's so look.
You just said it was a miscalculation.
The tax. All right. So the tax cuts. All right, are going to cut taxes. Right?
Yes. Less money, more deficit.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So how does it gonna lower the deficit?
God damn it! This is why I don't want to do this in real time.
Because I'm sorry, no offense, but that's because you're looking for a ghost. This doesn't exist. It makes no intuitive sense.
Mm-hmm.
There's just no way to explain.
Okay, so the tax cuts. I'm going back to the fucking original screen. I'm not playing this game. All right. Look, I'm not going to look for it. No. Hold on. We have a real world example with Donald Trump in 2016, right, where everyone said the tax cuts were going to do the exact same thing. Median household income was raised $7,000 per household, right, and then we had the economy that was booming along because people had more money in their pockets, which they put into the economy more. Right, so that happened already one time. We've already played this game before.
So, first of all, it's not a game. Second of all, Yeah, I'll quickly address this, but then I want to go to the president because we're going 10 years back. Is that the economy was already growing by around 2014 due to all of the Obama's policies, plus the economy was really taking off for probably a lot of other reasons, right? So there's a lot of good policies that Obama passed, and don't get me wrong, he's not my favorite president, but there are some good policies that he passed that caused the economy to improve, right? And so the economy was already doing really, really good in 2014. It was growing and growing, growing. And so under Trump, it continued that same trajectory until the pandemic when it crashed, right? So I don't know how you can say that Trump's policies.
I love this.
Wait, just can
hold on. What Obama policy?
The Affordable Care Act, I think, was a good one.
The Affordable Care Act, right? Which just was an absolute disaster.
It was not a disaster.
Improved the economy.
Yeah, it did because it created a lot of jobs. When people have healthcare, created
a lot of government jobs.
When people have healthcare, right? They're more likely to be a more productive member of society, right? When they're not sick, they're more likely to work. They're more likely to contribute something. Also, nobody can ever answer this question, right? Can I just answer your initial question, and you can ask me another one?
Go ahead.
Is that okay? Yeah. So when people are, for example, when they're healthy, they're contributing more to society. I think that's important. Also, this has been studied time and time again. When people have healthcare, crime goes down. Crime goes down. Yeah, because fine. I can pull up the study on that.
Do criminals just stop wanting to commit crimes?
I'm not saying it disappears, but what happens is
my leg feels better. Let's not rob anybody this weekend.
Yeah, you're kind of making fun of it, but the way it works is that people who, for example, who don't have health care, they feel like, and they're sick, right? They're desperate. They feel like there's really no path in society, so they commit crimes, so they can pay for their medications and pay for their food. When people have healthcare, I can pull up the study, but this has been studied to death.
Did they study it?
Yeah,
look, man, I'm fucking with you a little bit, but this doesn't make sense in reality.
It totally makes sense. It absolutely makes sense.
It does not.
When people are desperate, they're more likely to commit a crime. Yes or no? Yes or no?
All right, I'll tell you what.
Wait, just yes or no?
Poverty affects crime. That's true, right?
And if we can get people out of poverty,
but healthcare, it's not affecting crime. Right.
What percentage of American families do you think go bankrupt?
You think healthy people, right? When they're healthy, like you're talking about a trickle down effect that is like 6 degrees to Kevin.
No, I'm not. There's no trickle down effect here. I'm going to explain this. When someone is sick,
the direct effect.
Wait, it is basically a direct effect. When someone is sick, right, and they feel like they have no hope, and they can't get medicine, they're more likely, because they're at that point, they're more likely to reverse to crime. Also, when you're not healthy, you're more likely to get fired from your job, right? Because you can't show up to work. Maybe you're too slow. You're not really functioning well. And then you have no job. Wait, just let me finish. And then when you have no work, you're more likely to resort to crime. So yes, giving people health care, it's not going to eliminate crime, but it is going to play a role in reducing crime because those people now are having some of their base needs met.
Okay, chat. Can we do? Let's do it.
No. Just what part of what I said do you think is inaccurate?
I'm going to address what you said, right? Just real quick while I'm addressing what he said. Hey, people in the chat, I would like you to say whether you think yes or hold on.
This bandwagon fallacy.
Hold on. Do you think yes or no that if you are sick, right, and you can't get better, you commit crimes?
See,
yes
you're
or no?
strawmanning like there's no tomorrow. I'm not talking about what happens with every person. I'm talking about on average. We're talking about averages.
Average. That's an average, right? I'm just asking. I want to see how many people say yes or no. Yes or no. When you're sick, if you can't get better, you commit crimes. Because you said, I want to be very clear. I want to reuse.
Sure. Let me just pull.
You said there is a direct effect to healthcare and crime. Right, so I just reframed what you said.
Yes, you take healthcare away from people. There is a direct effect on crime.
No. All right, we have 3 no's. So right now, people are agreeing with
totally irrelevant what some random people in the chat said.
Sure, you're right. Just like your article is fucking irrelevant.
No, they're very different things. Here, Sara, let's share my screen real quick.
No.
I'm trying to show you actual facts. And you seem to want to argue based on what some random people say in the chat.
We have a maybe. Somebody said maybe. losing Medicaid and crime. If you're sick and you can't get better, you commit crimes.
Not every person, dude, but some people.
You
yes.
said direct effect. I want to know what the direct.
Direct effect doesn't mean that applies to every person.
You got a yes. You got a yes. There's somebody who's
this is so juvenile and stupid.
Somebody is as.
Let's actually have a good. Let's actually have a good faith debate.
Isn't this like the ice cream truck equals crime? Because in the summertime, the ice cream truck comes around, and then coincidentally, all of this crime happens. But it's actually
no, it's not like that. It directly follows. It directly follows. When people are desperate, when people are unemployed, they're more likely to commit crimes. Can we agree? Wait, hang on. Okay. Do you think? Let's take 100,000 people, right? They all lose their health care. Let's say out of those, 10,000 of them are not able to continue their jobs, right?
Let's do another hypothetical. Let's say 1 million elephants fly into the room. Are you on acid?
You're just like refusing to engage in good faith.
No, I'm not. It's just that
hear out what I'm trying to say. Listen to what I'm trying to say. You can engage in good faith. I mean, like, if you want to just like troll, we can do that, but it's not. I don't think it's
I'm sorry. You know what? You're right. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, I appreciate it. All right. So let's say you have 100,000 Americans who lose their health insurance, right? So they're not able to get health care. Mm-hmm. And let's say 20% of them have chronic health conditions, right? So 10,000, let's say 10,000 of them lose their jobs. The other 10,000 are less effective at their job, right? So their job is in danger. Do you think that maybe some of those people are now going to be more likely to resort to crime because now they're sick, they don't feel good, they feel like they have nothing to lose because they don't have their health care, they don't have their job. So don't you think they're more likely to resort to crime? Some of them, not all of them.
Okay. All right.
Answer that question.
We're going to argue in good faith now. I just wrote down what you said. Okay. So 20%, 10,000 people, they're going to be less effective at their job because they don't have health care and they're going to resort to crime. And I'm trying to tell you that that is not a direct effect, right? That's a trickle down effect. You just had to say that whole thing in order to get there. Do you understand what I'm saying? A direct effect, okay? Like a direct effect would be you get fired from your job and you don't have money, so you resort to crime. Okay, like that would be, I guess, pretty close to a direct effect. It wouldn't even really be.
This would be also just as close. You lose your health care, you can't work because you're no longer effective. Your brain stops working. You lose your job. Okay, if you want to call it, here, I'll grant you. I'll concede. You want to call it indirect effect? That's fine by me.
Okay.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't change the point.
If you want to debate in good faith and argue, then we have to define what you're actually saying. So it's not a direct effect. It's an indirect effect. And
sure. If it makes you happy, we can call it that.
So if your indirect effect, right, is happening, then your indirect effect can also be explained by a multitude of other things, like Sara just said, right? You know, this is the argument of when the ice cream truck comes around.
Well, tell me other explanations for why.
Well, I don't know. Like there's the lack of father figures in the home. There's a lot of
the father. No, we can easily dismiss that one because the people, like, this is happening to adults. Those people already either had a father figure or they don't have a father figure. We're taking the way the study does it is they look at a sample size of population and they look at those places that lost their health coverage and they analyze how those people performed on average. And it seems like they either 10-20% crime went up based on those people who lost their health coverage.
So I would need to actually look at all of the statistics of the study. But let's say hypothetically, right? Let's say there was a study that was. If I didn't even tell you what the study is, don't say there is one, right? Let's say there is a study where they took the crime statistics from a rural area in an area where there was a healthcare, there was a really good healthcare versus a rural area where there was not really good healthcare, and then they compared those two. That is a study that I would like to see, and I'm not sure if you know of one that exists.
So they're doing the study a little bit differently. I think they're doing it better. They take in an area, right? It doesn't have to be also rural. It can be also urban. They're taking an area of people who have healthcare through federal programs, and then they're analyzing what happens after those federal programs get cut, because this is not the first time that on a state level federal programs like that have been cut. And then they're analyzing how that population is before and after the losing their health insurance. And they're finding that crime goes up as soon as the health insurance goes down.
Okay, I think that we're done with this. Like, we're not going to agree on it, but can we go back to? Can we just try to get to the substance of it?
Sure, but
of who is losing their health care? Because right now we're talking about a hypothetical. Right, we're
not talking about.
We're talking about a rural.
We're talking about something. We're not talking about rural either. You're not paying attention. This is rural, suburban, and urban. We're talking about this has happened in the past. That's how they get this information. We're talking about what happens to communities that lose their health insurance.
Who is losing their insurance? I've told you.
What would you like? Would you like specific names?
No, I would like you to give me the demographics of the people that are losing their health insurance, because I'm telling you right now, it's adults aged 19 to 64 that can't work 80 hours a month. And you're telling me that that's a huge problem, and I'm not seeing it. And we've gone on to this. How long are we in? 54 fucking minutes on this one topic, right? Where you can't even acknowledge that it's a good thing to tell people, if you want health insurance, you need to work 20 hours a week. I'm sorry, a month, right? A month.
So federal work requirements are not the only way that Medicaid is being cut. So that's just one of the ways, right?
Normal people work 160 hours a month. We're asking for.
Okay, let's unpack this. So the reason I don't think it's a good idea is because the end result still involves a lot of people getting kicked off healthcare. Good thing, except for the fact that it increases crime, it causes people to die, it fucks over their children. Like, do the children? Let me ask you this. So there's let's just go along with what you're saying. Let's say there's a lazy mother who just doesn't want to work because she wants to smoke weed all day, right? And she also takes care of her kids. Let's say
they're all over TikTok.
Sure. Okay. Let's say that's the case. Well, let's say she maybe deserves to lose her health care according to your logic. But do her kids deserve to suffer because of the mom? Because that's exactly what's going to happen.
So what you're saying is, if lazy people who abuse the system have kids, we should allow them to abuse the system.
Well, no, we're not talking about people who abuse the system. This lady so far is complying with the rules.
You just said that she wasn't. You just said that she deserves. You just said she deserves to.
I said according to your logic, she deserves.
Okay, so what are we talking about? All right, look, let's go here.
Let me do a more simple one. Let me do a more simple one.
Hold on. I've listened to 1,000 of your hypotheticals.
Yeah, but you don't really answer.
Okay, ask me for an answer on this final one. I will give you a direct answer, and then I'll go.
Okay, sounds good. Let's do this scenario. Okay,
right, I'm writing it down.
Okay. Good. You want me to do it in the Trump voice, or you want me to
do it however you do it? I want to know what you want.
Listen, Misfit Patriot. Okay, we're going to talk about this shit. Okay. So let's say you have, for example, a family. You have a mother, right? And mother. And let's say, for example, she has 3 children.
Right?
And she is one of those with special needs, and she
retarded.
Retarded. Ultra retarded, like beyond retarded.
3 + 1 retard. Got it.
Yes. Well, yeah, whatever. So one is retarded, and he requires like basically 24/7 care. So the mother is taking care of those kids, right? And then because she has to do that, she doesn't get she's not able to meet the work requirement, and she loses her health care. Now, whatever you think about the mother, do you think the kids of that mother deserve not to have health insurance, which will negatively affect their lives?
Okay.
Answer this question directly.
So a mother has 3 kids. One of them's retarded. She has to take care of the retarded kid 24/7. So she can't work 80 hours a week. So she has health care revoked. How many of those situations are in America?
One is too many.
Doesn't she qualify for disability?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like the kid's gonna
that's
be
like a whole nother thing.
Look. When you have to go, look. Now I'm not trying to be condescending. When you have to go to this extreme, when I keep on trying to tell you,
it's not extreme.
No. This is catering to the minority. When you have to go to the like trans women are real women and they have rights and blah blah blah. Just like the mom who has a retarded.
I don't give a fuck about trans people. I care about real people. I care about real people dying.
It's a comparable analogy.
But you didn't answer my question.
They say that.
Do you think those kids deserve that? Just answer that question.
No, of course
they don't deserve that.
In your hypothetical situation, which exists in the 1% or less,
it's going to exist.
Don't exist.
Okay,
so give me.
So they don't deserve. Okay, so they don't deserve to suffer. So given that, then why don't we take some of the money we're giving to the Pentagon, right, and give it to Medicaid, so those kids don't have to suffer?
What kids? You're talking about imaginary people. All right, look.
These are not imaginary people. These are stories that you hear all the time.
I don't. You do, apparently.
Yes, because you live in your own right-wing echo chamber where basically everything is rosy. Where Trump is like the grand wizard of life, and that he's
going to bring it to your attention, gentlemen. You've been on the same talking point
for an hour. For an hour.
I mean, you could.
We can move on.
The big beautiful bill has a lot of big beautiful other topics. If you want to get through something else,
I'm gonna answer his question directly, and then we're gonna move on to a new subject, right? Like I said, right? With your one situation that you're talking about, which I will argue is the minority, right? Which is catering to the minority. The retarded kid does not deserve to lose his health insurance.
Great. So why would you be in favor of a bill that does that to him?
Because you're catering to the minority.
So what? People who have cancer are in minority. We should still fund cancer research.
Because you sacrifice the majority when you cater to the minority.
Who do we sacrifice? The billionaires? The Pentagon?
99% of other people.
How do we sacrifice them? A lot of them will lose their health insurance also.
All right, here's the deal, right? Are we or are we not in debt? Right, $36 trillion.
Yes, and the bill that you proposed to blow it up.
Hold on. Are we? All right, so we're $36 trillion in debt. Whoever passed this bill, right, was our elected representatives, correct? Right, those people that we voted in, we elected, they passed the bill. Trump is the president that we, the country, collectively.
That has no bearing on whether this thing is good or not. I agree with you. Yes, it was passed legally, but that has no bearing on whether it's a good thing or a bad thing.
No, hold on. Right, so in a constitutional republic, right, with elected representatives and a representative government, right, what we do is we go, hey, we're gonna do our best, right, and we're gonna elect you to do this, and hopefully it works out. Now,
the problem is we have lobbyists.
I'm not saying that you shouldn't question constantly. You should, right? What I'm saying is when you haven't seen the result of the thing that you're saying is going to fucking fail, just like every other thing that a lot of people have bitched about with Trump, where
by that logic, we should pass the shittiest fucking bill, and we can argue like, well, we can't criticize it because we haven't seen how it plays out.
What I'm saying is everything was done. Everything in this bill, right, was done with the full authority of the federal government. Full authority of Congress.
Yeah, this bill is legal. It doesn't make it a good thing. I'm not arguing this bill is illegal. I'm just arguing it's a bad thing.
When Obama passed Obamacare,
I don't care about Obamacare.
No, it's a comparison. Let me finish. When Obama passed Obamacare, we all screamed from the rooftops. We were like, "This is awful," and honestly, it kind of was, right? But
not all, but.
Are we all right? Like, we're kind of doing all right.
Well, because Obamacare was a good thing. It gave people health insurance. This takes away health insurance.
You still have $1,000, at least $1,000 phone. You still have a live stream platform. You got a couch behind you, and you're on the Affordable Care Act, so you're good. Like, so let's move on to the next topic.
What you keep bringing back to this, like implying them somehow like taking advantage of the system. Like that's the.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying
that's
that
your implication you're doing. Yeah, all of this is work expenses, my friend.
So
I also have insanely high medical bills because I have a chronic health condition.
I'm not saying that you shouldn't be on the Affordable Care Act. I'm saying that you're on the Affordable Care
You're just kind of like hinting. One thing I want to go back to before we move on to the next thing.
You offered that information. I didn't look it up.
Yeah, I know, but you keep like harping on it as if it's
I
like
said it 3 times.
Yeah, but the okay, whatever, doesn't matter. Let's assume I misread you. Doesn't matter. The part I want to go back to is what I think was the ridiculous claim you made in your opening statement, which is that this bill is actually gonna what did you say? It's gonna actually it's not just gonna increase the budget, it's also gonna cut the budget by $3 billion or something like that.
No, they say so. If I'm reading this correctly, right? The tax cuts are going to, I thought that I was reading it as the tax cuts are going to bring in $3 trillion over 10 years.
But you read it incorrectly.
I think, hold on. Let me see. And by the way, I'm using Grok. So whatever. Like if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I will concede if I'm wrong.
Okay, so just concede on that point that it's not going to.
So you're saying that the tax cuts, right? The tax cuts are going to be the thing that add the $3 trillion. Because that would lead only 8.8 trillion to the rest. And I think that's not correct.
No, what I'm saying is the bill in totality will add 3.4 trillion to the deficit.
Clear cut energy incentives, raise the debt ceiling. Yeah, see, I don't like raising the debt ceiling.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of bad things in here. But the point is like, okay, I'll give you time, take a look, no pressure, but like you just have to. Yeah,
so do you think that codifying the 2017 tax cuts is a good thing or a bad thing?
The tax cuts that were primarily for the rich.
What do you mean primarily for the rich?
Well, the 2017 tax cuts primarily went to the top 1%.
Okay, so let's talk about that because
but first I want to get you to clearly admit that you were incorrect about that one thing.
I don't know because I'm scrolling through and it's
just stop changing the topic then.
I think we've spent an hour.
No, this is important. You said that if you're wrong about something, you will acknowledge it.
Listen. We're not going to look up whether or not I read something correctly or incorrectly, and we're not going to stay on this fucking topic for another half hour.
Yeah, I know, because it makes you look bad because you just made that shit up or you misread it. Just own the fact that you were wrong about this one thing.
I don't think I was, but we're not going to do that.
Even Grok disagrees with you.
How many times?
Wait, let's just think about this intuitively before we try to change the topic.
Let's How many times have we said we're going to move on to a new topic?
Because you refuse to actually acknowledge responsibility. You just keep dodging this like the Matrix.
We're moving on.
No, not until you get a clear, I get a clear acknowledgement that you were incorrect about this one fact.
Alex, we are moving on.
I'm not moving on until we get a clear agnowledgement on this.
Then we'll just end the debate because we're moving on.
Yeah, if you want to run away, that's fine. But
this is little bitches. That's enough. Both of you.
What's so hard about admitting you were wrong about this one thing?
I was wrong, and we can move on. I don't think anybody actually cares.
You know you were wrong.
I don't know if I'm wrong.
Well, let's think about this.
Saying we're wrong on.
I just said I don't know.
Let's just think.
So what you're doing is you're saying unless you say you're wrong, we're not moving on. And I'm
not. I don't want to move off this topic. Like this is like one thing you said that was deadly wrong. Just real quick, think about this.
What was the thing, Alex?
He says that he said something wrong like an hour ago.
Yeah, in his opening statement, he said, and we talked about this after the opening statement, he said that while this bill will add 3.4 trillion to the deficit, it's also going to bring like $3 billion back.
Can I say that I could be wrong? Is that okay?
He did already concede to the point earlier. He said, I am using Grok, so if I'm wrong, then it's wrong.
And the Grok literally said the opposite thing that he thought he was saying.
Bro, can I say
he said that
I'm wrong?
Misfit, what he clarified that point. He said, I think you're just reading it wrong, Alex. So I remember that.
He said that after, but first he said, I'm reading it wrong. Go back in time, 100%. At first he said, I'm reading it wrong. I might have read it wrong.
Bro.
It's an important thing. It's really important. It's very important.
Okay, here.
I'm
going to make the executive decision. What I heard and what I recall was him saying, I'm using Grok. It could be wrong. If it's wrong, it's wrong. Okay. That's automatically an admission up front to the point to say if it's wrong, it's wrong.
But why
can't I remember you saying, but it's wrong, and Misfit said you're reading that wrong. That's all
he's
I
been
remember.
like jumping around, but why can't I just don't understand why you can't
considering
clearly
it a nice
like
little
man
happy
up.
tie. We're gonna call it even and down the middle. Misfit doesn't recall if he's wrong or not. You think he's wrong.
It's not recalling. It's
I
just
don't
not
give a
using
fuck
common sense.
who's wrong. Listen, stop,
Common
both
sense.
of you, children. I don't care who's right or wrong in that instance. We're using grok, and I don't give a fuck. Okay. The point is that we're going to move on to the next topic. Either way, you are both stupid for harping in on that point. And
No, it's an important point. No, fuck that. It's an important point that it's very much matters whether this bill is going to blow up our deficit or it's going to keep our deficit the same. It's very, very important.
Then we need to find the correct number. Find the correct.
I already have the correct number. It's going to blow. It's going to blow up the deficit by 3.4 trillion. That's the number.
Sure. Okay. All right.
Then if that's the number we're going off of, then it doesn't matter if he's right or wrong. If you're making your claim, stop for a second. If you're making your claim based on that number, continue accordingly, and it is up to Misfit to disprove that later. So let's run that direction, Alex.
Can we talk about the tax cuts, which is a different topic?
Yeah, it's somewhat related, but sure, if you want, and then we'll jump to my thing.
So, would you, like I said, would you agree that codifying the 2017 tax cuts is a good thing, right? Because now you don't agree. Okay, so here's the cause and effect of Trump's 2017 tax cuts. All right, median household income went up about $7,500 per household. Right, we had a lot of people who were seeing more money in their pockets. The economy was creating, people were creating more jobs. Just like you say, your argument about if people have health care, they're going to be more apt to go out and work. I think it's a stronger argument where if people have money in their pocket, they're more motivated to go out and hustle because they see that they're reaping the rewards of their hard work. So with Trump's 2017 tax cuts, I specifically remember, now I know this isn't like, statistically relevant. It's just my personal situation. But I remember my paycheck went from, like it was like a couple $100 or a few $100. This was back when I was working for somebody for that very small period of time. And I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. Trump's tax cuts. And I think that the codification of the 2017 tax cuts is going to put more money into people's pockets, which means they get to spend more money in this country, which creates more economic growth. And I think it's a good thing. So the fact that you say it's not a good thing, I don't understand where your logic is coming from.
Well, let me amend what I'm saying, and I'll explain my logic. I think it's a neutral thing. I think there's pros and cons. So in general, I am in favor of tax breaks, but tax breaks for the middle class, right? I think the middle class should pay less in taxes. Like, it's pretty absurd that billionaires pay an effective tax rate of 8%, which is significantly less than a nurse or school teacher, right? So that's what I'm in favor of. Now, the 2017 tax bill, a lot of that money went to the top 1%, which is, again, I think that money should have gone to the middle class or upper middle class. In addition, this is the part that was really bad about it. In that 2017 tax bill, it provided incentive for companies to outsource. And as a result of that, we lost 200,000 manufacturing jobs. Mm-hmm. That was a big issue as part of that. And I think that you could have a tax bill where the money doesn't go to the top 1%, where you don't incentivize outsourcing, where you actually incentivize basically people coming back and working in America, and you give the majority of the money to the middle class.
How much of the federal?
And also, just as a side note, my personal taxes actually went slightly up under the.
How much in federal income tax do the top 1% pay? Because you think they should pay more. How much do they pay?
Well, hang on. When did I say that they should pay more?
Well, you think you don't. Well, I think that you said it's a bad thing that we're giving a tax break to the top 1%.
Well, I just think it's bad that the top one, like that billionaires pay and less in taxes as a percentage than school teachers. I think that's a bad thing. No, can you agree with me on that?
They don't.
They do.
They don't. They don't at all.
What's the average? What's the average effective tax rate a billionaire pays?
A billionaire. A billionaire does not pay less money in taxes than a school teacher.
No. Percentage. No, not in sales taxes.
Percentage. Okay, fine, but
That's what I said from the beginning.
You're taking advantage of, right, these tax credits, right? Now these tax credits.
Wait, just really quickly, what percentage of billionaires? What do you think is the average percentage in terms of their taxes, federal taxes, that a billionaire pays?
I think that billionaires, the top 1%, I think they pay between 35 and 42% of.
They pay 8% of an effective tax rate. Billionaires.
No, but they pay 40%. A third between. I think it's 35 and 42. I could be wrong. Let's say hypothetically they pay between 35 and 42% of. Yeah, I think it's all right. So I'm looking it up right now. 38.8. Average of 38.8. Right, an average of 38.8. So let's just say right around 40%. The top 1% pays 40% of income taxes. So they're paying, these billionaires that you say are taking advantage of the system are attributing 40% of all income taxes. So taxing them more is not going to hurt anyone other than the people who that they employ. Because when they're already paying taxes and already contributing to the economy, and then we decide to tax them more, they just go, what's the point? I'll just cut. Like, they're not going to give up their money. They're going to give up.
Okay, they're not going to give up their money, which really begs the question of, okay, anyway,
if you want to get into human psychology about
let me just read something to you. Multiple sources, including the 2021 White House study, suggest that billionaires pay a significantly lower effective federal income tax rate than the average American taxpayer. They pay billionaires pay an effective tax rate of 8%. A school teacher is paying like 25%.
What's 8% of a billion versus whatever of a school teacher's? It's more money, right? They're paying more money.
That still doesn't change what I'm talking about. Do you think that's fair?
Tax rate. No, it is 100% fair because the billionaire employs 1,000 people. The school teacher employs 0 people. Right, the school teacher's P&L, the school teacher's expenses are like, I don't know, $500 a year. The billionaires is $100,000 to $1 million a year.
What you said just made no sense because they have more total money.
They have more write-offs because they have more expenses because they
have more write-offs because the tax code was designed so billionaires could get away with paying as least amount of tax as possible.
No, that's not. They're taking advantage of a system that is in place. Now, if you want to talk,
and they put that system in place through lobbyists.
Well, hold on. Who's been in power for the majority of the past decade? Democrats. You guys.
I'm not saying Democrats are that great either. I think Democrats are corrupt too.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm just saying to try to blame it on Donald Trump. He said this.
I didn't blame it on Donald Trump.
No, I'm saying. All right, fine. But this debate is related to the One Big Beautiful Bill, which
we're talking about like separate things right now. But
it's connected, right? Because the One Big Beautiful Bill, which is what we're talking about, which is Donald Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill, and then we're talking about tax cuts and billionaires, and I'm just I'm just connecting dots that don't exist. But what I'm saying is, right, you have billionaires, right, who I think, right, should take advantage of the system that is in place, right? And this One Big Beautiful Bill, which solidifies or codifies the 2017 tax cuts, is going to essentially save billionaires money. We'll concede that, right? Nobody on my side is saying, no, it doesn't do that. No, it definitely does that.
So why is that a good thing?
Why is that a good thing? Good question. All right. Here's why it's a good thing. Because when they have more money, they invest more money into
okay. Trickle down economics. Been disproven a million times.
You let me finish one time. Sit there and let me finish. Right. Instead of interrupting,
I'm not that $200 hooker. Okay, you can't.
Let me finish.
Okay, go ahead.
She let me finish. You have not. All right.
I apologize for interrupting. I'll make it up to you by doing the Trump voice again.
I need to step away for a minute.
When a billionaire, all right, let's just use Elon Musk for an example, right? When a billionaire saves money, right, they will most of the time invest in making themselves more money. What is the best investment for a billionaire is probably their own company, right? So when they invest in their own company, they create more jobs, which essentially creates more infrastructure. And as long as they do it in America, I want billionaires to have tax cuts, 100%. I want them to pay a lesser tax rate than a teacher, but I don't want them to pay less taxes than a teacher, right? So I want them to pay 8% of billions of dollars, right? And I want the teacher to pay 15 to 20%, 22% of $40,000. But I don't want the teacher to pay $100,000 and the billionaire to pay $40,000, if that makes sense.
I understand. Can I respond to that now, or
yes? I'm sorry for getting snippy at you, but you've done it 3 or 4 times, and
it's a heated debate. Okay,
had to put my foot down.
Relatively heated. It's all up. All right, so let me.
I love you, dude. You're good.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you as well. So let me explain to you why what you said it doesn't actually work. So what you're referring to is called trickle-down economics. It's basically when the billionaires, when the rich have more money, they're going to invest it into the economy, and that's going to cause jobs to grow. What really happens, and this has been studied by like every single serious economist nowadays for the last like 10, 20 years, has disputed this theory because it just doesn't pan out the way. What happens is when they get extra money, what they do is they just basically either put it overseas or they put it into, trust funds, or they put it into stuff like that, or hedge funds or whatever. They don't invest it in the economy. So giving billionaires more money, and this has been studied to death because we have tried this many times, does not overall create more jobs. Now, what does create more jobs is if you take that money that you would have given to billionaires, right, and you use that money, to build a chips factory, which is what Biden did. A lot of bad things about Biden, but one of the good things he did is he did invest in microchips, right? So there was we're manufacturing microchips, right? That's a lot of 100,000 jobs. Which, by the way, Trump just arbitrarily cut the funding for that for no good reason other than the fact that it was Biden. That's a side point. So when the government invests into key sectors, right, into the economy, that's what creates jobs, and that's what we want to do. But by giving the money to the billionaires, again, trickle-down economics doesn't work. They just hoard that money. They don't really spend it.
Okay, can I go now? Common sense, right? Common sense in the chat. Okay, you said that when billionaires get more money, they invest overseas. Right?
I didn't say that.
You did say that. You said You did say it. You said you said trickle down economics doesn't work because what's been proven is when billionaires get more money, what they do is they invest overseas.
No, they hide it overseas.
They hide it overseas?
Yes.
All right. Well, hypothetically, if that's true, what's this going to do? Tariffs. Tarri or whatever. Tariffs.
Tariffs are also a horrible idea, but that's a whole side point.
Who's the fucking tariff president? Who's the president that's saying, hey, stop doing that. Stop putting your money outside of America.
Well,
it has to be in
America.
It has to be in America. Now, you also said that what Joe Biden did was Joe Biden said that we're going to have the CHIPS Act, right? Well, where are chips manufactured?
Taiwan.
China. Taiwan. Yeah. Taiwan, yeah. So who is benefiting from the CHIPS Act? I wouldn't say it's America.
No, it's definitely America. If we are no longer reliant on Taiwan, that gives China less of an incentive to invade Taiwan, and also gives us a lot more control of our chips, which are essential to basically everything.
They're made in China.
We can make them in America.
Really? Do we?
Well, we were about to, yeah. All the infrastructure was already built.
It was just gonna have, just like the electric charging stations. We're gonna do it, right?
Well, no, like we had built the factories.
I promise.
No, the factories are physically there. They were built. Just the problem is that Trump came in and he cut the. Can I finish? And he cut the funding that was supposed to go to hiring the people, and he cut the money that was going to go to help subsidize initially the basically the chips factories, which now a lot of those projects are stalled, right? But we physically did build.
Do you see a pattern?
Trump fucking people over? Yeah.
No, I'm saying you don't see the pattern here, where when you said the economy was booming under Trump because of Obama, right? And the economy was failing under Biden because of Trump.
Well, no, hang on. The economy wasn't failing. In 2023, 2024, the economy was doing really good. Much better than it is now.
Really?
Yes, really. We have the first time.
Can we do it? Can we do another chat poll? Hey guys in the chat, do you
This is
think?
just
Hold
like
on.
juvenile appealing.
Do you think in the chat?
You're just trying to use the bandwagon fallacy.
In 2023 to 2024, in the chat, do you think the economy was doing really good?
Never said it was doing really good. Just said it was doing decently, and said it's doing better than it is doing now. After
hold on. Better than now in the chat. Do you think the economy was doing better than it was now in 2023?
Yeah, if you actually have half a brain, no offense, then you look at things like unemployment, you look at things like GDP growth. And for the first time, in I believe 2025, right, we're going to hit negative GDP growth. We've had positive GDP growth from 2021, I believe, and in 2024 we hit something like 4-5% GDP growth, which is pretty substantial. So you look at metrics like that, GDP growth, inflation, you look at things like that.
Speaking of GDP growth, under Donald Trump, what was the highest GDP growth from his first presidency?
Do you want the exact number or what year?
It was 1.9. And it was in July, I believe, of
what percentage was that?
1.9, July 29.
1.9. Okay, so yeah, so Biden.
You know what it was under Biden?
It depends. What year?
I think it was 2022. I want to say about 9.
0.9%.
Yeah. Let's pull this up.
Yeah, but in 2024, it was really good. It was like 5%.
Yeah, it got better than the worst. Right?
Well, no, it got better than it was the best under Trump. Obviously, the pandemic, it's not fair to blame that on Trump, but also Biden had to deal with a lot of the fallout effects of the pandemic and getting the economy working. Look,
I'm gonna do that share screen thing again, Sarah. Okay, here we go. So overall GDP growth, average annual real GDP growth was approximately 1.7 to 2.3 over Trump's term. Okay, Biden 2.5 to 3.4. So that's about double.
Yeah,
about double.
So
I'm just curious where your logic is coming from when you say
so that's a good thing, right? That you're supporting my point that GDP growth was higher under Biden.
Wait a minute. What are you talking about?
Well,
GDP. No, GDP. It's like golf. The lower number is better.
No, you're thinking of unemployment. Yeah.
GDP growth. I would think growth would be the higher the better.
Yeah, the higher the better. You're thinking of unemployment, my friend.
Yeah, hold on. 1.9.
Even
I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Hold on.
I know. Mindfuck, right?
Yeah, no, I'm actually in a mindfuck right now because I'm like, wait a minute. I think I'm right here, but it sounds like you're right.
You're not right.
GDP, annual GDP, the lower number is better.
No.
Hold on. Wait a minute.
The higher the GDP
number is better, right?
No, it's not. I promise you that.
Am I fucking insane right now? Why is it?
You're just wrong about this thing.
Not GDP.
You're thinking of unemployment, bro. Unemployment, the lower it is, the better. No, GDP growth, the higher the better. We want the GDP to be growing.
No, gross domestic.
AI overview. Yes, in general, high GDP growth percentages are considered good for an economy. They typically indicate a growing economy, which can lead to increased employment, higher wages, and improved.
Wait, what am I thinking of?
You're thinking of unemployment.
You are. I think you are thinking of unemployment.
I don't think so.
That's the only thing
between 2% and 3% is often considered.
You might be thinking of inflation.
I'm thinking. No, I'm an idiot. I'm thinking of inflation. I'm an idiot. My bad.
Okay,
Holy shit!
You'll concede on this point.
I will concede all day on this point. Why did I say GDP? My bad. Inflation 1.9. Biden 9. Wow. Why did I say that? Probably the vodka.
Yeah, I mean, if you want, we can talk about inflation, but I think we should get back to the topic at hand.
My bad. Wow, that was a fucking idiot thing.
Now, keep in mind also when we evaluate these that the pandemic mainly affected, there was a little bit of a delay effect in terms
My
of
bad. All right. So this is what I meant to do, guys. And you know what? Roast me, call me retarded. That was totally fucking my bad. It's
you
not
are
even
you are retarded.
not
There
even
you
a
go.
brain fart. I have no excuses. I literally just confused inflation with GDP. So yes, what I was saying was, and I got the number right, 1.9 inflation per year under Trump, and Biden was 5.4. Right.
Yes.
So inflation,
But
versus,
but again, that has to do with the pandemic.
how
We had, out of all the countries, all the civilized countries, all the Western countries, we had actually the lowest inflation.
Okay, so let's go with 2023, 4.1.
Yeah, and then you can see it's pretty. Wait, sorry.
Versus 2019. All right, so you got.
Yeah, one has a pandemic and one doesn't. Like, how do you not see that?
No, I think that 3 years is enough time.
Yeah, and that's why you can see that in 2024 it dropped down to 3%.
Okay, so 3% over,
and 3% is actually what you want inflation to be at. You don't want it to be at 0.
Yeah, no, but you do want it to be lower.
Well, yes, to a point, but you want it to be around like 2 or 3%.
This is my bad. Like
I agree that inflation was lower under Trump, but that all has to do with the pandemic.
Yeah. So the reason why, listen, I'm not making excuses. The reason why, you can get rid of the screen. The reason why I got those two numbers confused, because I was thinking of that old quote where if GDP gets below 3%, then Congress should not be able to run for re-election. So I was thinking lower number better. But no, what I'm saying is, right, the economy the argument was the economy was better a year ago. And I was using real numbers and real stats.
Now we have to compare 2024 to 2025, right?
Yeah, and GDP, by the way, was a little bit higher because what you're saying of the pandemic, where we had to spend so much fucking money, right? And yeah, gross domestic product did increase a lot under Biden's term. But I think that if you look at the economy overall in 2023, 2024 versus now, it was way worse a year ago, way worse a year and a half ago. So I don't know where you're getting your numbers. I don't know where you're getting
you can feel like that, but the GDP growth for U.S. in 2025 is expected to be 1.7% to 1.8. Compare that to 2024, where the GDP growth was like 4%.
Yeah, and you also have inflation. And you also have trade, and you also have.
Well, trade is at its lowest. Is inflation better now?
Well, you also haven't even seen the effects of the Trump administration because it's only been 6 months. So I think that we're going to have better numbers probably next quarter or the quarter after. So yeah.
Inflation is higher in 2025 than it was in 2024.
How those numbers are from October, right? Or November? Those numbers end. I think those numbers end in November for the quarter.
According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, I don't know when it ends, but
I think it ends. I think it ends in November 2024. So
why would it even matter?
Well, it would matter because you're not getting any accurate representation of Trump's numbers because Trump's numbers haven't been recorded yet.
Well, we were getting first indicators. Anyway, we're really reeling off the initial.
Yeah,
topic.
we're going off.
Let's go back to this.
I think it's because we spent an hour on that other fucking topic that I forgot about already.
It was an important topic. All right, listen. Let's get back to this. Let me just ask you maybe a few questions. You could ask me some questions.
Sure.
Blah blah blah.
Big beautiful bill. Go.
Big beautiful bill. All right. Do you think that energy bills going up for American families is a good thing?
My energy bill has gone down, but
it doesn't matter.
No. So, is there something in the bill that has increased energy?
Yes, all the cuts to solar and stuff like that, which provides cheap energy for homeowners. And I know this because I used to work in the solar industry, so I know exactly how it works.
Do you have any real data that the policies of the big beautiful bill have been recorded, like as far as your cost now versus what it would be under the big beautiful bill. No.
Well,
You
the
don't.
big beautiful bill just passed now, so we have to look at
Exactly.
logic. We have to use our logic and look at analysis and figure out what's going to happen. A
So
lot
you
of
have to
homes.
guess.
Let me just kind of intuitively break this down. A lot of families use solar, right? And it can I lived in California. I've been to Hawaii, and places like that, you can save a lot of money by having solar panels on your roof. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It saves homeowners monies. And now, if, for example, there's no, tax incentive, stuff like that, a lot less people will get solar, which means a lot more people will pay higher amount of money in, their energy bills. I believe it's $400 a year that the average family will pay more in energy.
You're talking about federal funding for solar companies, yeah?
I'm talking about a lot of things, but yeah, federal investment in clean energy.
Okay. Do you think, and I know this might sound like I'm changing the subject, I'm not, right? Do you think that like the DMV runs well? Do you think that the post office runs well? Do you think anything the federal government does runs well? In fact, let me rephrase the question. What in the federal government that is run by the federal government runs well?
Well, I think Medicaid runs fairly well.
So you think that the federal government...
let me answer this. So the people who have Medicare generally prefer to private insurance. They vote higher for it. It has a lot less corruption. So it's only, I think, with regular health insurance, about 10% of the money is just being scammed by insurance companies. With Medicaid, that level is only 2%. So yeah, I think Medicaid runs relatively well.
Okay.
Better than private health insurance. I'll tell you that.
So I think what I was trying to say is what system. So you're saying that the healthcare system in America runs well.
Well, I think I'm talking about something that runs better by the federal government than does to the private. I think there's definitely improvements that could be made. But I'm comparing it to private health insurance.
So private sector versus federal government. You think healthcare, you think federal government is better than private sector.
Yeah, overall, yeah. I mean, again, this is based on a lot of things.
I think a lot of people will disagree with you. Now,
okay, sure. Some random person could disagree with me, but we look at satisfaction surveys. We look at waste, fraud, and abuse.
That was just it wasn't the whole thing that I was trying to say. What I am saying is, right, you're saying that with solar, with the argument that you're making about how with the federal government cutting federal funding for private companies to use subsidiaries for solar.
It's not how it works.
Well,
I'm sorry, you're wrong about it.
No,
the way it works is right now, for example, if you put solar on your roof, you get a 30% tax rebate from the federal government.
Private companies use subsidiaries to offer that to their customers so that they can get discounts that they can then roll over onto the consumer. Right?
No, it depends on how it works. It depends on which type of solar you get. If you buy your solar panels in cash, you're the one that directly gets that. Now, also, even if you do a lease, solar panel lease, then yes, you're right. But those are not really popular anyway. If you do financing, which was probably the most popular option, you're the one that applies for that tax credit on your own end. And you use that tax credit to deduct from your solar payments. Okay. So it only works like that for solar leases, which are not even that popular to begin with.
Outside of California, right? Because I don't see them a lot in Texas. I really don't. Outside of California, which I would say has gone the heaviest on green energy, have they seen any statistical improvements in their energy costs? As far as I know, they have a lot of rolling brownouts. They have a lot of high energy costs. Like there are some electrical charging stations that can't even keep up with the demand of the amount of electric vehicles in the state.
EVs are a little bit different, but I can tell you, I worked in this industry for 5 years. I've seen people's electric bills. So the way my process would work is I would go into a family's home that I have an appointment with, and I would ask them for a year's worth of their electric bills, right? I would want to figure out a baseline of how much they're paying on average for the electric bills, right? And then I would only sell them solar if it would make sense for them financially. And a lot of times it did. And so I would see that they went from paying, let's say, an average of $200 a month for their, electric company to maybe paying $120 a month for the solar panels, right? So I saw that firsthand with my eyes. So yes, it doesn't work for every house. If you have like no roof or you're covered by trees, it's not going to work for you. But for a lot of houses, it does work really, really well. And it saves people money on their electric bills. I've seen this firsthand many, many times.
What would you say the percentage of people that have solar or use solar for the powering of their homes is?
In America? I don't know. It's probably going to be like, let me just look it up.
No, just tell me what you think.
I think it's probably like 10%, but let me see.
Okay, 5%.
Okay.
Did somebody change something on their mic settings?
Yeah, I hear. I think it's him.
I'm gonna mute Misfit and see if I can still hear it. Alex is coming from your end.
Oh fuck. How bad is it?
It's pretty.
Let me see if I can play around with my settings.
It wasn't there earlier. It just started coming in.
I'm not, dude. No matter what I do, no matter what I try, I'm always destined to have tech issues. Wait, let me just fix this first, please.
No, I don't think I can hear it anymore.
You okay? I'm good now.
Yep, I think you're good.
All right, thank God.
So 5% of U.S. single-family homes have solar panels installed. Now, I hate to do this again to you, but I think what we're doing again with your argument is catering to the minority, right? Where you're talking about an issue as if the issue is a big issue when it's not.
This is like 25 million people, my friend.
Yeah, but it's a small percentage. You just used percentages to me, and now I'm using percentages to you. When you were talking about billionaires versus school teachers, you used percentages. You didn't use total amount. Right now, you're using total amount instead of percentages.
But your argument is that it doesn't matter because it's a small percent of.
Well, you gotta look at it this way. All right, if we have oil and gas and we can run this I almost said a company because I was gonna say economy and company. It's because what Trump is doing is he's trying to bring energy back by drilling for oil. He doesn't give a fuck about solar. He doesn't care about wind, right? And the downside now, solar, I actually don't have a huge problem with. Wind, I have a huge problem with, especially with what they're doing with the marine life. And
I agree. I'm not a big fan of wind farms either.
But solar, I do like solar.
Solar works.
Listen, I like it, but here's the deal. I just looked it up. And it's 5%.
Well,
right?
hang on.
So 5% of homes. You're talking about 5%.
No, because it doesn't.
You're using it to make an argument.
No. It's not just going to be 5% of homes, because it's also going to affect the electric companies because they also rely on solar. And the electric. Wait, let me finish. And the electric companies are going to pass those costs down to the consumer. So it's not just 5%. Yeah, it's a higher percentage.
I get what you're saying, but even at the highest number, even at the maximum amount of thing that you want with green, it's 15%, and then that's why are we throwing away the other 85? Why are we looking at?
Well, they have the option of getting solar too. They're not prevented. But why is it a good thing that 15% of people will have their electric bills go up?
No, my question is, why is every single one of your arguments catering to the minority? Every argument you make caters to the minority. You're talking about, what about the one lady who has a retarded kid? What about the 5% of people?
15% is a huge amount of people.
Yeah, but I know it's a huge amount of people, but you don't understand how society works.
So just because it doesn't affect 50% of people, then that means that it doesn't matter?
No, it's not 50%. What I'm saying is you don't cater to the minority. A functioning society moves to the majority.
A minority of people have cancer. Do you not think we should have cancer research because it only caters to a minority?
100%, but you're using a false equivalency here. I'm not saying that you shouldn't explore the solar industry. I'm saying you shouldn't throw away all right, so a minority of people have cancer. Are you saying we shouldn't explore cancer research? No. A minority of people have cancer. Are you saying that we should stop treating every other human being that doesn't have cancer and focus every
subsidizing
minute
on
of
solar,
energy?
you're not stopping the other people from getting their electric bills from getting electricity. You would be right if it was a one or the other. If it was like, okay, we keep the solar subsidies and the other people suffer in terms of the electricity. It's not like that.
You're not listening, man. You're not listening. What your analogy with the cancer thing, right? What you're basically saying is a small amount of people do have cancer. We should definitely research cancer. We should look at that up.
And we should also definitely help the people.
Your analogy is we should stop treating broken legs.
No, I'm not. That's not my analogy. Not my analogy at all. Like, massive fucking straw man. Massive fucking straw man. I'm not saying that let's just say whatever, 85%, even though I think it's less than that, 85% of people who don't rely on alternative energy and their utility company doesn't rely on alternative energy. I'm not saying we should just fuck them over and have their utility prices go up.
But your policy
You're creating a false dichotomy.
No, but your policy actually does, because everything that you're arguing for, let's go back to what we're actually debating, the big beautiful bill, right? The big beautiful bill is more focused on petroleum products, petroleum energy, drilling, gas and oil. It's focused on that. Your argument is that we should focus more on solar. My argument
not saying we should focus more. I'm saying we should keep the existing solar subsidies.
Why? They're not working.
They are absolutely working. They're helping homeowners across the country.
Why is California rolling brownouts, dude?
That has to do with just too many people moving in there, and there being too much demand on the thing. I can also give you a more technical explanation about how utility companies
California's having a mass exodus, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, sure. I'm not a big fan. I used to live in Cali. I'm not a big fan of a lot of things they did. We don't disagree as much as.
What state do you live in now, if you don't mind me asking?
I live in Florida.
Okay, I love Florida. I used to live there.
Yeah, it's great. But I feel like you're creating a false dichotomy. Like let me kind of outline it. The solar subsidies are helping people save money on their electricity bills. They're also creating a lot of jobs, but let's forget about that for a second. They're helping a lot of people save money on their electricity bill. And the cool thing is, if you don't have solar now, you can easily get it. And a lot of that is financially feasible because of the 30% federal solar tax credit. Right.
Sure.
And so when you remove that, you make solar not financially feasible for a lot of people, which in turn drives up their electricity costs.
Can I ask you why you left California?
Sure, but how is that relevant?
It's relevant because you're making an argument that California, which is I would say number one solar consumer.
It's Hawaii, actually.
Hawaii? Okay. Yeah. California number two?
It's up there, yeah.
Okay. California is one of the highest, let's go with that, consumer of solar, and you now live in Florida. And I would say Florida is lower on the solar end, and I would say that a lot of people move away from the policies that they argue for into states that have policies that they argue against. And I'm not using this as a personal attack.
No, you're good.
I'm saying you're living in Florida right now, which
because there's a lot
has nothing in common with what you're
let me explain this. So first of all, I don't own a house. When you don't own a house, you can't put solar on your roof. So I wasn't benefiting from solar. If I was, even if I did have a house, there's a lot more to your quality of life than whether you can get cheaper electricity bills. Like, that's never been high up. It's like, oh, well, I'm going to go to the place where I get the cheapest electricity bills, right? So if you want to know the reasons I left California, it was around 2017. And a lot of that came down to is just the fact that I lived there for 6 years and I was just kind of getting tired of it. I wanted to change of pace. So I thought I would move to Austin, Texas, which is like a smaller town. So I moved there.
An hour from me.
Yeah, so I moved there, and then I realized it gets cold as fuck in the winter, and a lot of girls there are like religious and don't put out and whatever. So then I left Austin and I moved to Miami, and that's where I've been. Right, but it has nothing to do. There's a lot of policies in Florida that I don't like. It has nothing to do with that. It's just general policies, especially for someone like me who's like not gonna be struggling to eat. right? Like that's not going to play a huge role on a micro level. It's going to play a huge role on a macro level.
Okay.
So that's why I'm here, is just because I love big booty Latinas and because the weather here is great and I have a lot of friends here.
Okay, it wasn't a personal attack. I was actually
No, it was not. I didn't think
genuinely
so.
asking because what we do see a lot of the time is people leave California, they go to a red state, and then they bitch. And I think that, like,
I'm not bitching. We're having a debate.
No. I'm not saying you. I'm saying people. I didn't say you. And I think that what we need to do is we need to have a conversation about why. Not you. You've explained your situation. Big booty Latinas. But some people do leave California because, oh my God, I can't even get electricity, right? And then they move to Florida. Not you. They move to Florida. And they go, oh my God, fucking, we need to get solar over here. And it's like, dude, shut up. You just left. So that was my argument.
I see your point. I think it's a fair point, especially when it has to do with things like crime. But
and I lived in California too. I lived in Santee for 2 months. It took me 2 fucking months to leave. I stayed there for a total of 60 days before I said nope. Like, I was like,
yeah, I think there's a lot of like rich liberals who are hypocrites, just like there's a lot of conservatives who are hypocrites, right?
Fair,
so
that's fair.
So I'll grant you that completely. But
right, back to the big.
But solar, just going back to solar, is not like it would be a good thing if we had solar. It wouldn't cost Florida to go to shit. It would make it more affordable for the average person. It would be good for us. It would also create jobs.
I think
solar is a good thing. Again,
I used to work for a guy. I do construction, and I worked for a guy that was pushing green energy, green products. He was getting a government subsidiary for pushing green, and solar was one of the things. And he was getting like I think it was like $15,000 for each system that he could push, and it was from the federal government. I know, like personally, and this was 10 years ago, by the way. I don't know what they're doing now, but I do know
things did change a little bit since 10 years ago.
I do know that even though that was 10 years ago, that there is a huge push from the federal government to private companies like mine and like others who work on homes, where they incentivize pushing this green energy, because what happens is, right, it's not about like the customer saves the money. You give the whole sales pitch, right? And you're like, you're going to save this much over 10 years. But then as soon as there's a problem that they have to fix, they have to pay for the repairs.
No. Typically, at least with my company, every company I knew, any repairs were, the warranty period was like 10 years, and any repairs were included.
I think that every person that's watching this right now will probably agree with me that when they say that, they're not, it's any type of sales pitch on any type of product that's going to last over, a certain period of time, you're getting screwed, right? Where it's like, they make it very difficult for you to actually, for you actually to make good on whatever promises they made you when you.
No offense, I just don't think you understand that much about solar.
Like, no, I do. I
think we're confusing solar leases with solar purchases and solar financing.
Well, solar leases would be when you're paying like a monthly on the panels that the company installed in your home. This is what the guy that I was working for would used to do. Nobody can afford to pay outright. Well, not nobody. The top 1% can afford to pay outright and own their solar panels, and then they can contract with the company through insurance, where if anything breaks, that they can pay a monthly, and they can have that taken care of. But as far as I can tell, it's pretty much you're in debt to the government because they put $100,000 worth of shit on your roof.
No, you're not.
You didn't buy.
You're not in debt to the government. You're never in debt to the government.
Well,
you're in debt to whatever loan program you use, whether that was an internal one or external.
And the loan program is a subsidiary of the government. They get these incentives from the government.
No, I believe it's mostly private banks, but I could be wrong on that.
No, you are. It's okay. It's just like Elon with this whole this falling out with Donald Trump, right? Elon and Donald Trump had a falling out. I believe Trump. You might not, but I do. When Trump was like, It's about the electric vehicles. He wanted these incentives.
I believe that.
And he wanted these subsidiaries. And it's like, yeah, of course he did. And that's exactly why he was being friends with you.
Yeah, I also agree when
but
Elon
Tesla,
said that Trump's on the Epstein list. But anyway, listen,
hold on. But Tesla is not a government company. It's a private company. Right?
Yes, I understand that. Wait, let's go back to solar energy though. I just want to explain this like more simply. So
I just want to let you know
it's almost 2 hours.
I just want to let you know because Alex, I know you are on a time limit. I just wanted to be mindful of that. You
can I just make one point? It'll take 30 seconds.
I wanted to tell you to like maybe finish your point and then we can move into closing statements from there if you want.
Sure. Let me just make this one point about solar. Yeah, like this is something I really believe in because I did it for so long. Look, solar has multiple benefits. One of the benefits is that for electric companies, it provides them a cheap source of energy. And that means they don't have to jack up the prices on the people who don't even have solar. So the way it works typically in a lot of places is basically you put solar on your roof. Now where is that energy being held? Because you're generating a lot during that day. It is being held by your electric company through net metering, and they're giving you credit for it, right? So you generate a shitload of electricity, and they're taking that electricity and they're giving it to the people who don't have solar, right? Again, preventing some of these issues you mentioned, like rolling blackouts. And then at night, when you're not generating energy, you have these credits that you can use, and that, so you're not actually at the end of the day paying anything for solar. Now, again, like I've seen this firsthand, like many, many times. What solar does, it allows people to save a lot of money on electric bills. It also adds value to their house. This has been studied pretty well. And in addition, it also makes it so that basically they're protected from future rate increases that electric companies do every year. Electric companies are not benign. They do some shady shit. Yeah, I know this firsthand to fuck over consumers. So that's how solar helps. And what we do by cutting out these solar incentives that have been around forever is we drive up the energy costs for a lot of people. We prevent you people from getting solar unless they just have a shitload of money laying around, right? And also, we kill a bunch of solar jobs. All of these things are bad.
Yeah, like I said, I think that if you're looking at the numbers, right, you're looking at 5% of U.S. single-family homes have the panels installed on their homes, right? And that's 4.7 million homes. And if you look at it like a number of 4.7 million, you go, oh no, that's 4.7 million people that are going to be disaffected by this thing. And you can make the argument. I made the argument, so I'm not going to chastise you for doing the same thing I did when you use a number instead of a percentage.
But it affects people who don't have solar, as I explained to you.
But I get it. But at the same time, there is one tried and true tested energy source that we have been running on since the Beverly Hillbillies tapped into that fucking little thing in their backyard, and it works. So I think that
are you talking about oil?
Yes, I'm talking about oil. I think that when you cater to the minority and you say, I'm not saying that you shouldn't research, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't, give, some type of, like, I guess, incentive for people to try to push to clean energy. I'm not saying that. I think that clean energy,
also so oil is not commonly used fuel.
I'm saying that the government itself, right, should not be pushing for something that is 5% of single family U.S. homes. I just don't think it's worth it.
What percentage of people do you think use oil?
100. 100% of people use petroleum products. You're using them right now. They're in your computer. They're in your phone.
No, I'm just talking about to heat their house.
To heat their house?
Yeah, to power their house.
It's probably in the 70s.
In the 70s, you think?
Yeah, maybe higher.
It's 4.1%.
Are you talking about oil tanks?
In the U.S., relatively small percentage of the U.S. households use oil as their primary heating fuel, while 41% of primarily use heating oil. It's more concentrated in Northeast.
Gas. The gas is from petroleum. That's what you want to look at.
So you want to talk about natural gas.
Propane.
Well,
Yeah.
natural gas is a byproduct of petroleum product. It's how they get it. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's really high.
So natural gas is much more common than oil, but oil, just to clarify on what you were saying, is
But
a
oil
tiny
is from
part.
natural gas.
Sure, but it's not natural gas.
But it's from the same source.
The shit that you're going to take is from you, but it doesn't mean the shit is you.
Okay, so like, I don't know what's a good analogy here. Like a fucking, I don't know.
We don't have to bicker about this part. I'm just correcting.
No,
that
it's a super high number.
Let's go ahead and move
It's
into
called oil. It's called oil and natural gas. Like, sorry.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and move into closing statements, gentlemen. Then after that, Alex, I'll let you go because I know you have to be somewhere after this. And then because most of the super chats aren't really inquiries to you, Alex. So it'll be okay if you.
Oh, what the fuck? They don't want to talk to me.
Well, there's some poking. There's some poking at you, but there's no like actual questions for you. So.
Poking at me.
I mean, you can say I
don't like to be poked.
I'm saving your relationship right now because somebody's hungry. So I'm going to let you go after you do closing statements.
She does what I want, okay? I'm the alpha.
Misfit, would you like to go with your closing statement, please?
Yeah. My closing statement is everything that guy just said is bullshit. No, look, all right. Here's the deal. We were trying to debate the one big beautiful bill, but we didn't really do a great job at it. And but it was a good debate. It was definitely a really fun debate about natural gas, about healthcare, about this and that. But the thing that we didn't debate was what's in the actual bill, because Alex doesn't actually know what's in the actual bill. He's talking about effects that might happen based off of articles that experts have reviewed and fucking theorized what could become of the actual beautiful bill. What's in the actual one big beautiful bill, which I don't agree with fully, and I should have probably put that in my opening. I don't agree with it fully. I think that, raising the debt ceiling, I think that increasing the deficit, etc., I don't really agree with that. But that's why omnibus bills are always garbage. I appreciate doing line by line things. However, this is a Agenda 47 wish list, which I think should have been pushed through because Trump is dealing with a rogue Congress every time he gets in office. And I think that what's actually in the bill is we have solidifying the 2017 tax cuts. We have cutting fraud out of Medicaid, not innocent people with 3 kids and 1 retarded who are just trying to, make it. Like, I think that the argument that Alex has made is an argument for the 1% of everything that he talked about. And I don't think that that's an argument that you can make, because when you cater to the minority, you end up just like the left with their whole, trans people are real people, whatever. Anyway, that's my argument, and everything that guy said is bullshit.
Fair enough, Misfit. And Alex, to you.
Yeah, I enjoyed this debate a lot, and I want to give props to Misfit Patriot for being good faith throughout this debate. I want to give props to Sara for hosting this, even though at one time she kind of ended a conversation that wanted to continue, but don't worry, we will discipline her offline. So Misfit Patriot says, I don't know what's in the bill. I do, but a lot of the language in the bill is kind of vague. So we have to look at what the effect of this is going to be. And that's why I brought studies and articles. Misfit did not, because he did not really have the facts on his side when it comes to this. He just kind of had vague talking points. Now, I think that this bill is a nightmare for the reasons I explained. I think Misfit Patriot did a lot of wishful thinking. Like, well, it's only going to fuck over like 15% of people or 10% of people. It's not going to fuck over everyone, right? But yeah, there's provisions they're going to fuck over this 10%, that 10%, this 15%. I think we clearly saw that he was wrong, blatantly wrong on some things, like when he claimed that the GDP growth is I know is better when it's lower, and that it was better under Trump. Clearly not the case. Also, he was wrong when he was saying that the tax cuts, the $3.4 trillion in tax cuts, or sorry, that the $3.4 trillion added to the deficit will be kind of outweighed by the $3 trillion that we will get back through tax cuts, which intuitively makes 0 sense at all. Like, we give people tax cuts and that somehow generates more income. Doesn't really make sense. But yeah, I think this bill will fuck over a lot of people. I think that if I get like maybe 20 hours with Misfit Patriot, I could get him to kind of come along a little bit, but maybe not. I don't know. But yeah, there's also other things that I haven't mentioned. Like, for example, when you cut solar, infrastructure, China will outcompete us. So there's something that they're investing billions, I believe, or if not hundreds of millions of dollars on, because that's electricity of the future. I worked in this industry, and I see how not having solar panels can negatively affect not only people who have solar panels, but also people who don't, because the utility companies use solar to generate electricity, and without that, they're going to just jack up the cost for everybody. So there's also the 18 million children who will lose school meals. There's good stuff like that. And of course, we didn't even talk about the millions of acres that's going to be sold to billionaire polluting industries, which is going to harm the air and water we breathe. But anyway, like I said, overall, this was a good debate. I feel like for a Trump supporter, Misfit Patriot is not quite as just like basically brainwashed as the average one. So I will say it was a good debate, buddy. You tried your best. It was really good. It was really good.
Thank you, buddy.
And maybe later I'll grab you by the pussy.
Your Trump impersonation is awful. It's as good as mine. Don't do it. I'll get Sean.
What the fuck? My Trump impression is on cue.
I will have.
Perfect.
We actually have.
I will have Sean Farish send you.
Hold on. We have a Trump impersonator who comes here every so often. And he's amazing. It's perfect. His voice is on par. So,
dude, I can't believe you said that. Like, we were like, I was starting to like you, but that was just a low blow.
I do a weekly show with Sean Farish, the #1 Trump impersonator, and he will send you a nice little you lost.
I'll see for myself.
You lost message.
Well, to the ladies and gentlemen, I have dropped the link for the open panel into the chat. It is now pinned in the chat. If you can't figure out how to find that, ask the mods or you're too stupid. So feel free to start hopping backstage as you already are. Alex, are you going to make your exit?
I'll stay for like maybe 2 or 3 people. We got a tad bit of time.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm gonna pee, but I'll come back and I'll stay for 15-20 minutes. What you?
Yeah, we should do more debate. We should do more debates, man.
Yeah, that's fine. I honestly like this debate. I say yes to every debate, and I tell people whatever topic you want. I think this was like I didn't like the topic, but I was like, yeah, all right. But you're a good sport, so it's fun.
Pick a different topic and we discuss it.
Alex,
let's debate. Let's debate
give him a hand. Yeah, Alex, why don't you go give Misfit a hand while he goes potty? I'm going to run through some of these while you're stepping away. FR Frem Pumpkin Pukin gifted 1 Raging Tomato membership. Congratulations to that lucky lottery winner. Nuxis says, thank you to the guests. Have a great stream. And remember to hit the like button. Yes, or else I'm going to continue dunking the chat. Ricky enjoying his new membership. Chaos Queen sending maters all the way around. Finkel, who sent the suggestion with the big 20, he said, point your AI to the text. And Alex, obviously, you turned that down because you didn't want anything to do with the congress.gov, which was perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Dearden getting his new membership and then follows up to say, no disrespect, Alex, but using an article for a source is the same as using Wikipedia for source in school homework. Shout out to Raging Tomato host.
Well, Wikipedia is actually a pretty good source. I know it got a bad beat when I was in middle school and high school, but Wikipedia is not bad and they source all their arguments. So you could always just go to the original source. But look, we have to utilize like articles, studies, and stuff like that. So yeah, that's kind of why I brought a lot to the table. There's a lot that I brought to the table that I didn't even show. They were just like in case he wanted to see it, I had it ready. So yeah,
I thought you were very prepared.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying there's a lot of stuff that we didn't even get to. Like, I think it's important to, to actually have sources behind what you say.
Yeah, that's fair. Old Sarge Finkel says the link is to the actual text of the bill, what has become law. And I'm a liberal. And he was referring to that congress.gov. Caldy says, Calgan, take me away. Powder Dusty said, drop Alex. We're not dropping Alex. You know better.
Oh, fuck you. Alex is cool.
Casual Crypt enjoying his new membership. Another artist says, what is the Misfit Patriots education level? Mind you, I put this on the screen, and as it was sitting on screen, you couldn't spell tariff. So I think we all deserve to know the
No, I
answer to this
spelled it
question.
right. I spelled it right. I just didn't read it right. It's tariff. TARIFFS.
You were very confused.
Because I
You're
was
like,
reading
oh,
and
fuck
talking.
it.
If you want, next time we can debate whether tariffs
All right,
are good or
hold on.
bad.
I'm gonna give you guys a little inside baseball. This bottle was full when I started the weekend, and now it's here.
Jeez.
Jesus Lord.
At least you're drinking made in America.
Yeah, I'm drinking. I'm a little. I am a little drunk. I'm not a lot drunk. I'm a little drunk. So if
that means we can take an advantage of him.
If I spell tariffs wrong or say tariffs wrong after I spelled it right, that's your fault.
I cannot debate under alcohol.
Not a flex fatty. Listen, I will fuck your mom. Like, not you, in the chat, Smashville. I will have sex with your mother.
Oh my God.
3 minutes, babe.
Consensual.
Non-Fon enjoying his new membership. Another artist getting his new membership. And Finkel wanted to finish the goal. 1 teal super chat, 2 teal super chat, 3 teal super chat. Oops, not teal. Someone help out. I have the goal set, and it was set to certain goals.
I don't do YouTube.
I'm being summoned.
I told you I was saving you. I gave you the exit.
Oh, it's
Make your exit.
I'm an alpha man. Okay, I do what I want.
Finkel says the Big 20 says homes with solar panels is not the same as solar generations added to the grid.
Lovely. All right, Sarah, I do got a dip. But yeah, thank you so much for organizing this. This is a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this. I think you're a good faith debater.
No, it was fun.
Yeah, it was definitely fun. Let's set something up for the future.
All right, lovebirds. I'll message the both of you on it.
All right, take
Bye,
it easy,
Alex.
guys.
See ya.
All right, bring on some retards so I can talk to them before I go.
will. We're going to read the super chats first. Let's see. Contemporary sends a big 5 for having to deal with these two, not one step back. Finkel sends a big 2. I know. I felt like I had Dum 1 and Dum 2 today.
Hey, I'm still fucking here.
Somebody posted on my Twitter. It was Dumb and Dumber. And it said these are the 2 debating tonight.
I don't fucking debate. I don't know why you bring me on.
I think you're fun. It is fun. Does solar wind cause cancer? I don't know. What does nuke coal and diesel do?
Bless Misfit's heart. Bless your mom's vagina. Shut up.
You are drunk. You're talking about people's mamas?
No, I talk about mom is my number one go-to.
Oh my God. Well, watch out because Mama Tomato is in the chat quite often. So you got to be good.
I'm not going to say anything bad about your mom. Your mom is a sweet lady. Misfit, have you accepted your free trip to Israel to French kiss the Wailing Wall? Is that what it's called?
I don't know.
I understand. I understand you want to support the military-industrial complex, but the grand American military is bankrupting. I think you meant to say the U.S. I have been offered several free trips to Israel, and I have not gone because I have a job, and it's not my priority. My priority is here in America. I don't know why people think that I care about the nation state of Israel. There's this really weird false binary where if you don't support terrorists, you love Netanyahu. I don't know Netanyahu. I don't know who that fucker is. I don't care.
I don't know who Netanyahu is either.
Hey, Coldy, my mom's dead. Good luck FaceTiming
Oh, I think he was talking about my mama. Nuke Final One says, I loved last night's ending. It was awesome. Yes, I basically said, I owe you nothing and hit the outro. And I said, fuck off. Per usual. All right. Are you ready to play with our friends?
I am. It's going to be fun.
And let's have. I think most of them are probably coming for you based on what's sitting back there.
That's exactly why you bring me on? I'm basically like fucking what's it called? Wish app Andrew Wilson.
Don't I bring on everyone to be their own personal punching bags? Like literally everyone is up for grabs here.
My buddy, I think I already told you this. My buddy was like, people are used to jumping on the internet and punching somebody when they fall down. They punch you, and the only thing that happens is their hand breaks, and that's why they hate you so much.
Oh my God. Well, you do know how to take a joke. Like, shut up. All right, Timu Andrew Wilson already checked out. Who's got the bad feed going?
Coming.
You're fine. Hold on. I think it's. Hold on. Stay muted if I mute you. I need to figure out who has the bad audio. Joshua Dearden, it might be you. Unmute yourself again.
Oh, wow.
Check. 1, 2. Hello. I'm gonna mute you again. Joshua, it's you. Go fix your shit and come back. All right.
5 gays and Sara.
It's okay to be gay.
What does that make you?
Wait, you got rid of one. Don't you fuck with me.
There's 6, 7, 8 people on this panel.
Wait.
The math and Misfit.
Then there's one non-binary.
Sarah, I am so disappointed right now because I've been taking notes this whole time. And it's just Alex.
Should have been taking shots.
And then Alex is gone. So obviously,
okay.
Alex cannot handle the dumpster fire.
Sarah.
Well, Ryan and Nanfan and Effigy will probably stand in on Alex's behalf happily. And they will fight you to the death. So feel free. But they also probably are here for Misfit. So there's going to be a lot of crossfire. So Vibe and Misfit. Kay, do you sit on the right wing inside?
No, more left.
All right. So it's Vibe and Misfit versus everyone else. And Evan, I
All
never
right,
know where you stand.
Misfit, we're in.
What's up?
Let's go.
Somebody wrote Misfit has no friends on that panel. You could have got rid of those last 3 words.
And Fico confirming he is not the source of bad audio. Confirmed.
Just the source of money.
Fico, it is not you. Joshua, did you fix your shit? Is your shit fixed?
Can you repost the link in the YouTube chat?
Oh, he's drunker than me.
Oh God, it's posted. It's posted and pinned.
Wow, we found somebody that can't hold their alcohol. All right.
At the top of the chat, you'll find it, and the mods will help you out. All right.
Sarah, I got a quick question for you.
Amateur hour, yes.
That music for the Gauntlet intro, what is it? I want to know. It's awesome.
You
made it. You made that?
It is protected.
Awesome.
It is protected because I made it with a payment. It is protected. Can't touch my shit.
Oh,
I'm not touching.
I just wanted to be able. Just
a real quick question, and then I'll pass it off. I just want to ask one question. Like, do you think if someone works 79 hours a week and they're on Medicaid, do you think that it's good policy to remove them from Medicaid?
Yes, fuck them.
Got it.
79.9 hours. Fuck them.
See, it's all a meme to this guy. He doesn't care about the real people who are affected by these because obviously not everyone.
I don't care.
Not everyone. He doesn't give a shit. Exactly. He doesn't give a shit. And neither do the people who signed this bill. Right? They don't give a fuck about these people. And there are tons of real people who are going to be in this situation. And he doesn't give a fuck. He's just sitting here drunk, making fun of them, calling their kids retards, calling their children, making fun of disabled children, like a disgusting fucking freak he is.
It was an imaginary retarded kid.
No, there are actual mentally disabled children that you were talking about. You fucking retard.
But I wasn't talking about that. You just called me a retard. retard.
Yeah, because you're a fat
actually
retard. Yeah,
I'm
yeah, I said it.
actually
Yeah.
on the spectrum. I have an SRS2 score of 80. Sucker. All right, you just committed a hate crime. You committed a hate crime.
I don't think it's a good precedent to set to go and have so much shit shoved in one bill so that no
How's my mic now?
I don't either. I don't
better.
like it. All right, but let's talk about Ryan calling retarded.
Now, to be fair,
people
Evan, it's
retarded.
not really a precedent at this point in U.S. politics, but they've been doing that for a while.
Yeah.
Hate crime.
Okay, guys.
Bills are kind of the norm now.
So, how long has Trump been president right now?
A little over 6 months.
All right, shut up. All of you know better. Let's move. Stop for just a second. Everybody.
There's a point here, Sarah.
I know. I was hearing like multiple voices, and I think it might have been my fault because I had something else playing somewhere else. Somehow. I don't know. My apologies. Continue on.
Yeah, so
it's all Sarah's fault.
The debate is the big beautiful bill. Am I incorrect here, or are we debating something else right now?
You're right.
It's the one big beautiful bill.
So the majority of the United States is actually for this big beautiful bill, and I have to say, like, I sometimes hate how Trump makes everything into second grade words that everybody can understand. But that's what the United States needs. And I also hated that he threw everything into one bill. I'm like, how can you possibly do that? However,
Same thing that the Democrats does, though, right?
Says, and what most of America actually approves of, we've got, I'm not going to lay them all out, but we've got education and education reform, and we've got technology influence, right? Now, if you put these in two different bills, what we have is a problem where if one passes the other one and the other one doesn't, it doesn't work because we need education to enhance technology and the tech sector in the United States. These are two things. And when you bring a giant bill like this together, you actually have the opportunity to actually have each one feed off of each other. And by the way, the United States is in overwhelmingly favor of all the facts of the bill, like education reform.
But not the bill itself, to be clear. Not the bill itself.
What do they not like?
Let's play a game. What do you guys think Vibe would be saying if Democrats were in charge?
No, I think Vibe's actually doing.
He'd be saying 65% of the country is overwhelmingly the majority of the country does not view this bill favorably, which is true of this bill.
Well, what about?
Look, obviously, it doesn't matter whether
there's a lot of things they like. There's a lot of things they
whether
don't
it's
like.
good or bad, right?
They don't like the tax. That's one of the things they don't like. The other thing they don't like is the potential government overreach. But it's not a fact, right? Everything everybody doesn't like are the potentials of this bill, but not the facts.
Well, what do you mean? I think it's a fact.
I agree.
Work requirements to Medicaid, and I think that people are opposed to work requirements in Medicaid. So, like, this is.
I don't like the fact that it gives massive tax cuts to the wealthy.
That's not
true. But hold on, this is something I want to ask Misfit about.
Okay, yeah, this is great. This is one of the points I was actually wanted to talk to Alex about, right? So let's say I am a billionaire and I pay 8%.
Sarah, you got too many people. You got too many people here.
Yeah, what is going on?
You have too many people.
I threw a lot of stuff out.
Hold on. Yeah, you all know better. You all have been here except for Joshua, but you all have been here before and you know better. Let's figure this out. Non-fun. I think you were saying something before Vibe cut in.
Yeah, right. So Misfit, I would allege like you're the one about the Medicaid thing was the first thing you talked about. You're the one catering to the minority here. If you look at the people on Medicaid, like about half of them are either like children or retired, and then of the people who are working age, the majority of those people are either working or have some exemption because they're disabled. Only about 3% of people on Medicaid are people who are not working long time in the way you're suggesting, right? So you're adding this work requirement, a policy that increases the amount of paperwork everyone has to do for only a very small percentage of people actually on Medicaid, and those able-bodied working people are not working people are not the ones consuming Medicaid benefits, right? You know, they're the healthy people that are paying into the system and not taking much out of it. So you're creating work requirements which fuck over everyone. We have evidence from states like Arkansas that did work requirements. The majority of people that lost coverage were not working. We're not like these people who weren't working. They were people who were exempt or were working but didn't fill out the paperwork correctly.
Okay. Do you want me to answer? So you said that I created it. What do you mean by I created work?
Supporting it.
Hold on. So you're saying that kids, right, are losing their Medicaid. The same question I asked Alex. Where? Who are they? What are you talking about?
Look, so do you deny that work requirements increase the administrative burden for people to receive Medicaid benefits?
Can you cite one thing in the big, beautiful bill that says kids are losing their Medicaid.
Work requirements will cause kids to lose their Medicaid. Do you recognize
What do you mean by cause? How?
I mean, if you increase the administrative burden, a lot of people who like fall through the cracks are people who just don't fill out the paperwork because they don't realize their eligibility has changed. So we have evidence of this from Arkansas. When Arkansas added work requirements to Medicaid, the majority of people who lost Medicaid were not people who were not weren't ineligible. It was people who were eligible and didn't fill out the paperwork correctly. Same evidence when eligibility requirements changed under COVID.
Hold on. So people who are
I'm so sad all those people died, guys.
Hold on. So people who are taking advantage of the system that have children, those children are going to lose their
taking advantage. Well, how are they taking advantage of the system?
Well, because the work requirements. All you have to do is work.
No, but you have to fill out the paperwork, and the government bureaucrats have to keep track of that.
This is the disingenuous part. It's not about the ethics of work. It's about putting in an impediment will get this end. We know that they know that'll get this in because they include that savings in their estimates of savings.
There is a worth
not
ethic
about
in
it,
this
though.
because
You guys just know that this
population-
mechanism will do this.
Stop. Who is talking over other people? Stop it. Put your ears on. Put your ears on. Listen. Go ahead, Effigy.
Yeah, to me, it's not about, or it's never about the actual ethics of work involved in these things. They know that this mechanism does this thing, so they will put that mechanism in place to achieve that goal. And you know this because they include in the estimates of savings, the estimate of the people going off of Medicaid.
So you're saying that 1/5 of the people that like in society have to be on Medicaid because they have no capability of working. So 1 out of your 5 friends, or do you have 10 friends? Do you have 20 friends? 4 of them can't work. Like, I mean, the numbers are ridiculous. Now, I'm not saying there are not people worthy of getting the Medicaid, but would you not say there's a problem if 1/5, 70 million people in this United States have no capability of licking an envelope?
No, that's not the question. The question is whether people are going to be able, or whether people who are eligible for Medicaid are still going to be kicked off because of the added administrative burden. And the evidence all points to yes. I would hope we would acknowledge that.
Well, they're no longer going to be eligible because they're not going to be able to
work.
work.
People who are still eligible under the new work requirements are going to be kicked off. We have evidence of this from Medicaid, Medicaid work requirements in Arkansas and Georgia, and we have evidence of this from when eligibility requirements changed during COVID. 70% of people who disenrolled when eligibility requirements were changed under COVID were people who were still eligible but just didn't know they had to fill out paperwork.
You understand what the word eligible means, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you're so when we say eligible here, you're saying that that eligibility is dependent on the paperwork. So who cares because they didn't fill out the paperwork? But what Non-Fawn is pointing out is that they met all qualifiers. They met all the things that needed to be done. That all the requirements that were met, except for the paperwork, which was a new thing they added in.
What was that word? What was the word that you just used? Accept.
So people who were otherwise met the requirements were suddenly kicked off their Medicaid is the point. Do you recognize that? 18,000 of them in Arkansas. Do you agree with that? Do you agree 18,000 people were kicked off their Medicaid? No, 18,000.
No, but except
they didn't know how to fill out paperwork. And by the way,
they didn't who cares, right? So who cares about them and their children, right? Who gives a fuck? Because it's new paperwork that didn't exist before, right? Who gives a fuck?
Allow me to make a quick interruption. I am shutting down over on the Mater side, and we are raiding over to the Gauntlet side. I dropped the link into the chat if you'd like to continue moving now and hold on to your seats, and it should raid you over automatically. Outside of that, Mater is shutting down.